about to launch. It has launched. And now I'm going to launch TikTok. What's up, YouTube? Whoever isn't there yet. Good to see you as always. So glad to be here. We're going on the countdown here for TikTok. Screen is flipped. All right. What's up, Guilty Angel? How are you? Did you have a nice, was it a long weekend for you? I don't know. You might not.
It was a long weekend for us.
It was a long weekend for us.
We weren't even.
And we kind of dodged out for the long weekend. Oh, let me get Angela in on here. I'm just doing a straight up.
Flying solo?
Yeah. Side by side. And there's Angela. Hope you had a great weekend. We have a couple people. Tanner's up. Tanner's up in the TikTok land. What's up? What's up, Tanner?
I have to apologize. I have so many messages that I didn't even see.
Oh no!
I know.
Guilty Angel had a huge fight with her sister, and I'm sorry you did. I had such a big fight with my brother that we haven't spoken in 4 years. I hope it's not like that. I hope that's not the kind of fight that you guys had, because those are the most painful, the ones that take years to heal. But yeah, I can imagine why you're upset, and I hope that I hope your situation gets resolved soon, and I hope that your sister also feels better as well. I just took a sip of my tea and it utterly burned my lips. Like, wow.
You know what that means?
What?
That's a good omen. That means that in your live tonight,
yeah,
you're gonna spit fire.
I'm hot lips Houlihan. That is the saddest thing, Guilty Angel. I hope. Well, I'm glad you're with us. I hope we can distract you a little bit from all of it, and I understand the pain you're in. I really do. And it's okay if it's personal. We can get personal, Guilty Angel. We're good. We're just letting the live is kind of loading up with folks right now, hopefully. And by loading up, I mean we're going to get all 8 of us together again and have us a good time. And while we're doing that,
dude, that's a big party. Have you ever tried to have 8 guests over for
delicate.
dinner?
Have I ever had?
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I know. If I was cooking, I'd be out of my mind.
It's a lot of people.
I've cooked for 8 people before. It was too many.
It didn't go well.
No, I made too little of everything. My main course was like it was like that big for everybody. I was like, I thought, because this was back when I was cooking.
Oh, you and I did this, and we brought all the food over to a friend's house because we can't host 8 people. They had a big dinner party, and we were like, "Let us cook for you." And then I assembled everything, and everything was like dry, and cold and horrible.
Didn't we sous vide that night?
Probably, because I love to sous vide, and it's just such a show off kind of technique, where you're like, "Isn't that the best steak you've ever had in your life? It comes from this little machine."
You should see your picture. I worked on your color, and it's starting to look really, really nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I tried on makeup today.
Oh, you did?
I tried to cover up these little red spots here because I had like a pimple situation over the weekend.
Little red spots sounds like a cute song by Sting or something.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
And
little red spots.
And I was like, and it was like a wrong match.
Oh.
And then I was like, ah, shit. And then I tried to dilute it. And then I ended up just rubbing the makeup right off of the red spots. So now I got like a weird blotch.
Now you have a blotch of red spots.
And this is why I've just never been good at makeup.
I'm terrible at it. I wish I could be helpful.
You're terrible at makeup?
Yes. No good.
Have you ever tried to wear makeup before?
Yes.
For fun?
Oh, I cross-dressed for like, I forget why I did it.
Was it for Halloween or just like being
I was hot as hell, by the way.
But what was the context?
It was back when I was like Leo Gaunt, like DiCaprio Gaunt. I was all
not Gaunt.
Back in the day, like his earlier like Titanic stuff.
Well, like you could just reference your movie. You were as thin as you were in your movie.
I would say thinner. That's a book by Stephen King, by the way.
It's
thinner.
Yeah, but you're mimicking the movie, right?
Well, I'm mimicking her.
Yes.
Because she does. Look, I didn't write it.
No.
And that's what she does.
But you performed it.
Yeah.
So tell me about your makeup experiences.
I dressed up as a woman
Mm-hmm.
and I wore a dress
But for what?
and I looked so good.
Was it for something, or you just wanted to
And I
feel
shaved-
fabulous?
Nothing. I was already cleanly shaven, so I wasn't a bearded woman.
Are you evading the question? I've noticed you haven't answered
What's the question?
one question I keep asking you.
Oh, you're going to have to ask me again. What's the question?
What for did you dress up?
I dressed up. I don't remember. I'm going to say
convenient
Halloween,
answer.
but maybe it was something else. I don't know. I
Kinks?
yeah, well, it didn't turn into one. Could have. I was hot. I was.
We're gonna try.
Straight up.
We're gonna try this out.
I got you know, Cosmic Christian said you killed my daughter. That's too funny. It's a good book too. Have you read it?
I haven't. No, I wanted to. That one and Needful Things. I haven't read yet. They're kind of they seem paired in my mind to me.
Needful Things is a decent adaptation. It's an underrated adaptation. By the way, we have to talk about Pee Wee Herman at some point.
I know. Listen,
Yeah.
any book or movie or whatever IP that
Yeah.
has to do with the monkey's paw
Yeah.
sort of story,
Okay.
I'm in. I love it so much. I don't know why.
You're just all over it.
Yes, the concept of like wishing for something, getting your wish granted, but there's a catch, and it'll destroy you.
The catch will destroy you.
I just love that. Delights me.
I like that too. I love that.
Tanner said he used makeup for prom to look better. See,
Oh, that's cool.
it's for everybody.
I've never done it. I've never worn makeup as like for without the intention to look like a woman or to like or like
a costume.
a costume. Yeah. Thank you.
Jenna said in Dawn's Plum, you are so fine. Sorry, excuse me. You are so fine.
In Dawn's Plum. Well, that was definitely not my high point. I don't think. Thank you. That's very kind. I'm very blushy about that.
I had a roommate once that had like a type
Yeah.
where she was like couldn't.
Scrawny, dirty dude.
Yes.
Like, give me the scrawny, dirty
Yeah,
guy.
like she wanted like all of her boyfriends were like really scrawny rocker type guys.
Right.
And I just couldn't figure it out.
It is a weird it's like the Machine Gun Kelly thing.
Yeah, it was like a very opposite to her figure. So it wasn't even like she was trying to find a physical match. It's just interesting. People have a type.
I tell this story all the time. I'm going to tell it for the first time on this live. There was like when I was like, I don't know what I was like. I'd already moved out of my house, but I was probably like 17, like still very, very young. But I was on my own already. And there was this girl that got hired at my office that was just incredibly beautiful. And I started kind of like making my moves or trying to just make her realize it or whatever. And eventually, conversations led to me asking her out. She said yes. I picked her up. I was Mr. Gentleman. I opened up the door. I took her to a really nice dinner. We had a really nice dinner. I took her back to my apartment to hang out and have a few more drinks. She comes back. I pick up some beer at the off sales, and then I open the door, out the car, in the house, Mr. Gentleman. And we're all just partying that night. And I'm with my roommates. And again, I'm like 17. My roommate maybe 18, 19. So we're fucking kids. And we're getting really loaded, And my roommate, who is like even scrawnier than me, he looked like Shaggy, the fucking, and
Yeah.
he couldn't grow anything but this,
That's what I mean.
and that. And he just, and she's we're all drunk. We've been drinking for hours at this point. I'm like hoping at some point, this thing's graduating, but no. He takes her by the hand. He just takes her by the hand. And she takes his hand and he walks her into his bedroom and he closes the fucking door. And I'm just standing there going, what the fuck?
You pilfered my date.
You pilfered my date. I literally crashed, wasted, drunk, right? I was alone at that point. I'm sitting there with a lonely fucking 3/4 full bottle of beer. I take a fucking big old swig of it. I put it down. I'm completely, totally destroyed. I go up. I pass out in my bedroom. I come down in the morning to make a cup of coffee, and his bedroom is just off the kitchen. And the door is open. Evidently, they had come out at some point. And they're both naked. She's lying on top of him, so she's just completely visible. So it's obviously just, I'm devastated. And then I eventually I catch up with her, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what?
Yeah.
The fuck? I mean, I took you out on a date. And then you slept with my
I'm not in
roommate.
charge of you or anything, but that is not cool to do.
And she was like, I wasn't looking for anyone to hold open doors for me. That's what she said to me. She said, I wasn't looking.
It's dangerous to talk about it on a podcast because there is a whole ecosystem on YouTube that would eat this story up and use it as evidence for why you cannot be nice to girls.
Yeah. Well, she just didn't want that, right? Like, that's all that was. Like, it's cool. I mean, I was very nice to you. I was extremely extraordinarily.
Me.
Yes. I treated you incredibly well.
Yeah.
I've treated every woman
actually,
I've ever dated
I don't
incredibly
really remember because I don't notice stuff like that. Because it's not important to me.
Well, you'll remember the first date, and
I did go on a date once with a guy who like held out my chair for me before I sat down, and like when he always made sure that he would like if we were walking together on a sidewalk, he would like switch positions because it's right to walk on the street side if you're the man and make sure that you're shielding the woman from like splashing or whatever threat could come from the street. So he would always be like managing
and splooshing.
He would constantly be managing like my position in relation to him so that he was doing it right, but it was really like kind of intrusive and a little like micromanagey, And especially like he would like get up from his side of the table and like scoot over to mine real quick to like pull my chair out. I'm like, what is this song and dance you're doing? Like, so I had to tell him, similar to what you're recalling.
This is not what I want. I don't want this.
But I feel like those are very different situations.
Well, I didn't actually I got told after the fact. Had I been told prior to the fact, believe me, I would have adjusted. Like, you know what I mean? She didn't give me the chance to adjustment. Like, I was
communicate.
At this point, we were just partying, and then Clayton literally just took Clayton State.
That's the devil's
his last name. I loved his name. His name will end up in a book somewhere.
Clayton State?
Yeah, I love it.
All right, I'm looking him up. Let's see if we can find this.
He hit me up on all the social medias at one point. We were friends for years after that.
Mr. Sure. Steal Your Girl. I
admired it in the end. I was like, wow, bro, you got way more than me. Like, I couldn't do that ever at any point in my life.
This is impossible to search for because there is a Clayton State University.
Is there really?
Yes.
It's not his.
Nope.
I guarantee.
So you'll never find him.
My man Clayton was not an educator at all, or ed.
He educated you that night, didn't he?
He schooled me. He schooled me, yeah. It was not my best night.
Well, I'm so glad that you didn't change your approach, right? Because you're a normal person who realizes that women aren't just like some monolith that all feel the same way about everything, That was the lesson. Is that what she's saying? No, I'm saying that I'm glad that you didn't take that lesson she gave you and apply it to every date.
Oh no, she was very specific about like I walked away from that 100% saying, "Wow, I was thinking all about what I would want if I was a woman and not what does this woman in front of me want." Like, it was all on me, 100%.
Right.
Had I read the room instead of like, going but this is my problem. This has always been a problem. This is why I've like always sucked at the beginning of like trying to get to know somebody or whatever, because I'm just terrible at that, because it's not so much as that I can't, like, until I get to know you, I won't make assumptions. I just can't. I'm incapable of like making a bunch of assumptions about you that I can use as some kind of guide to begin a conversation or whatever. So I go in as cold as fuck, and that leaves me really on kind of an island where I'm more or less just aware of me in that situation, or aware of my perceptions. That's
I
really
can only talk about like my experience being, I guess, in hindsight, like courted by you, but it's hard to tell because you weren't really doing anything. So I don't know whether I'm like mistaking it. Like you would come into the coffee shop where I worked.
Yes.
And like all the other people that worked at the coffee shop, we all recognize our regulars, and you became one.
Yes.
But you were the one who had like the real mysterious vibe.
Right.
Like nobody knew.
Just because I never like,
because you'd never spoke.
Because I didn't know anybody. I just sat at the bar, and I'm also not like, so what do you do for a living? Hey, where you been all day? At work or at play?
You got any kids?
Like, you got any kids? I got none myself, but I've always thought of a couple of toddlers filling out my life sometime. I don't know.
The pitter patter of tiny feet. You know what I'm saying?
Pitter patter of tiny feet. I'm just not that guy. I'm definitely 100% like sit next to the guy until the guy goes, "Hey, how you doing?" But if you strike up a conversation with me, and this is true, if you do strike up a conversation with me, it really doesn't matter who you are. I'm going to probably engage with you And unless you're utterly offensive, I'll give you my time. So there's the upside, or the positive is that if somebody speaks to me, but honestly, I don't find the world all too hospitable, and I never really have. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's like a. I'm not going to assume you've talked about this by being on a bus. This is particularly true for good-looking women, because men are fucking jerks, and like
that's the fucking worst.
And you're a fucking good-looking woman, and they're just going to assume that you got time for them, and that's just something
It's
where I never
literally
do,
the
because I
worst.
always feel like it's a total disadvantage. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter if I'm going to work or from work. I'm just fucking tired. And what I don't want to do is talk to people who are strangers who want something from me.
Yeah.
And like, I'll specifically like read a book or wear headphones or something because I'm interested in reading a book or wearing headphones, but also to signal to other people that I'm not really available for conversation, because I'm not.
Yeah.
And there's definitely this, like, it happens pretty early in your like preteens when you're a girl, that you realize that you are, that other people see you as existing in their world, like they're the main character, it's their public space, and you're in it to engage with. Like, you know, in a video game where you're walking around and there's somebody who's like churning butter in your like medieval town, and you can go up to them and talk to them.
There's always somebody churning butter in my
You can go up and talk to them, and they'll like give you a little side quest or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like how these dudes.
This butter won't get whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I can't make it thick.
Or like two people will even be talking to each other, and you know that you can go up to them because you're the main character in the video game.
Yeah.
You can go up to them and talk to them, and they'll talk to you and
Yes.
give you something, or
Yes.
give, you know, some advice or some information that's valuable. That's how these dudes act.
Right.
Like they're
they're the main character in a video game.
Yeah, like they're on public transportation and they're like,
great-
"Hey, you're a person. I'm going to come up and talk. I choose you to talk to you, and now I am owed your attention."
That's a fucking perfect. Honestly, that's just such a perfect
It's main character syndrome.
main character. Yeah.
And it just sucks because you're like, "Oh
But
shit."
the main character in a video game is the best analogy, because the main character in a video game, in order to, you know, progress through the game, you're required to go talk to NPCs.
Yes. It's solipsism, right? Everything exists for them, and everything outside of their view doesn't exist. So if you're in their view, you belong to them. You're in their world. And it's just, what's really lame is that when it happens, when somebody tries to initiate a
Solipsical.
conversation with you.
Yes.
What?
I just thought of solipsical, like creating solipsicles. And it's like,
Brilliant idea.
it's like you get to
gonna
lick
be-
your own face.
You're going to be a millionaire.
Just get to lick your own face.
You go on Shank.
Or is that narcissism? Sickle. Go ahead.
Narcissical?
Narcissical. You start like a whole.
I was just going to continue to complain. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
Karen Reed's trial was fucking wild today. I thought as much as I could watch, because I'm like, oh, I want to show people I'm kind of excited about this. I got this new little switcher.
It looks like nothing.
It is going to make it's going to make this process so much easier on me. I stress out. When we move to YouTube, I kind of stress out, because I'm like,
No stress.
not in a way that is like unhealthy, but in a way that like this solves, which just means that I can kind of like one punch everything. I get to like for example, when instead of having, like right now, I got to push 3 buttons to get this thing rolling. I'll be able to just push the 1 button and get it all rolling at once.
Yeah, people don't know, but the reason why you weren't on live yesterday was because you were trying to troubleshoot all of these. You had like sound problems, and
Yeah.
you were trying to get these videos to sync. It was like a whole thing.
It was trouble.
But you're
But
figuring
here I
it out.
am, happy as a lamb.
Every day.
Our
is
lamb's
getting
happy.
better. Are lambs happy?
I
Have
don't
you
know.
seen a lamb? They smile. They have a little smile constantly.
Have
It's very cute.
Have you seen Macron getting slapped? Have you seen all that?
Yes, he got shoved in the face.
You saw that? Yeah, people called it slap, but it's true. He got shoved in the face. And they're saying, I love how people just, we live in such a gaslighting, like we just live in, like people just think we're fucking stupid. Like people just get to say whatever they want to your face.
Yeah.
There was this old, like this is like, this is really crude and crass, but this is back in the misogyny days where like, when I mean like, where like there was like a baseline misogyny that was just really high. Like really, you were just born into misogyny. Most men were just born into it, you know? And women
Like
were
make
born.
me a sandwich misogyny.
Like, make me a sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Smile for me.
Oh yeah.
Give us a smile.
You should smile more.
You know, that's a real pretty smile. Why would you hold that back from the world?
Oh my god.
Where was I going with that?
The worst is when it works too, when somebody's like really charming and they're like, I bet you got a really pretty smile, and you're like, And you're like, damn it, I gave you one.
I know what it is now. What I was going to say, there was this, yeah, there was this, I don't know what it was. It was like it could have been, it was a conversation. I don't know if I witnessed the conversation. I can't remember exactly where the memory comes from, but in the memory, it's two men talking about committing adultery, and one is giving the other advice about it, and particular about what to do if you ever get caught. And it's really crude. It's like, if you get caught with, if you get caught with you in her mouth, right? She's staring right at you, just deny it. Even if she's staring right at it, didn't happen.
What is that? That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I didn't put it right because I'm trying to like not get completely flagged everywhere. But
oh, right. So you don't want to reference the actual
the actual thing. But it was like, if you get caught with like in the act, if you get caught explicit in the act,
it's not what it looks like.
It's nothing happened. It's not what you look like. This is not what it looks like. And when I heard this would have been like probably 25 years ago or more. The first time I heard this, probably even 30 years ago, it sounded ridiculous to me. I was like, well, no one who's standing there looking at it is going to believe you because it was like, this person was being serious. This conversation they weren't having a laugh. They were like, for real, just fucking deny it. I don't care if she can see everything happening right in front of her. Macron's saying that they were horsing around.
Yeah, sure.
No.
Why?
Watch it. First of all, here's what happens. She pushes him in the face, and it's not like a little like, oh.
He doesn't even react though. So it's possible.
He does. He closes it. First of all, he does. To me, I think he looks.
He steps backward and then he turns and he's like, oh,
it's
there's
very dramatic.
Watching.
If I pushed you in your face, or if you pushed me in my face, we're probably going to have like some kind of word about it. Like, it's going to be like, hey, like, it's because even if we were playing, it's now going overboard.
Yeah, but we've fooled around and I put my hands in your face before. It's
No, you're mistaken. You haven't ever once, never. I would take such offense to that. You absolutely have never done that.
Well, maybe
I would remember what
they do though.
I would. Oh, we're horsing around.
Okay, what's the?
She pushes me in the face.
Why do we care about any of this? Why do we care? Was anybody hurt?
I was just thinking about. I was just talking. No. It's not about being hurt. It's about the gaslighting. It's just like so blatant and in front of her face.
Well, the thing is,
like Dana White when he smacked his wife, like the gaslighting that went on around that, which was like, oh, he was defending himself against her.
Oh yeah, right.
Then you restrain her. Like, you can restrain her. She's restrainable if defense is what
this
what
thing
really
about like a camera happened to be pointed inside an airplane and we happened to catch like him get some hands in his face and get shoved away. He didn't even get shoved far, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's not like somebody was trying to defend themselves from him.
To me, it looked close to a strike, closer to a strike than a push.
My point is that I don't know why it matters.
Oh, it doesn't.
And when it involves politicians, I'm always wondering, like, is this a current video or is it an old video? Are they putting it out because they're trying to distract you from some like political shenanigans that they're actually doing that they don't want covered? Like, there's always this kind of gameplay.
So Macron says to his wife, punch me in the face so I can.
No. I'm saying it could be like an old video, whatever.
Yeah.
It could be something from like 2 years ago or whatever. We don't know. And it could be something that they're like, hang on to that and make sure you roll that when we need to hide, whatever, sending bombs to other countries to do evil. You're like, I don't know. It's just with politicians, you just can't ever trust the stories that are coming out about them.
Exactly.
Because there's always this,
buy them. That's the whole point.
They're always trying to control and twist the narrative.
Yeah, and the point I'm trying to make is like, we're in this world, we're in this place now where like people just fucking, they just make shit up right in front of your face. Like, they just literally like Donald Trump like came out and said that prices are back down again.
Oh yeah, he'll just say
he said that. He said the prices are back down again. He's a really bad
example because he's just been such a
he's strictly gaslighting
con artist his whole life.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't even, he's such an extreme that it's hard to use him as an example because you're like, okay, but that's him and nobody else acts like
I would say so, except that people believe
him.
Mm-hmm. And I think that part of gaslighting isn't just because gaslighting, by the way, doesn't require belief.
No.
Gaslighting is the action of trying to
change your mind.
Trying to change your mind about what you actually saw or went through.
Would you like to hear from the chat?
Yes.
Jenna said, OMG, no, he poached your date.
He poached my date.
Jenna said I would be so mad.
Dude, I was mad. Well, I was mad. I was really mad at myself. Like, honestly, I was really mad at my date.
Why?
Well, first of all,
It's not up to you.
the thing I wanted most to do with her was take her into the bedroom. Like, she was just this jaw-dropping, beautiful, like crazy. So I wanted very much what Clayton
But
had.
you recognized even then, when you're like 18 or whatever, that it wasn't up to you, right?
Oh, of course, I recognized that.
So why were you upset with yourself?
Because I felt like because I felt like she handed me the opportunity and I opened doors with it.
That's stupid.
Hey, that's how it felt. You asked. I've done so many stupid things. Maybe that was one of them.
Blaming yourself for somebody making a choice that
Yes.
that wasn't the choice you wanted.
Exactly.
Hannah wants to know, what's your favorite movie? Is that something that you could answer quickly?
What is my favorite movie? I guess I don't have any choice but to say
Dawn's Plum.
no, I would never say that. But it's my favorite movie that I've made. I'd have to go with The Godfather. I would just have to. I can't escape how brilliant that movie is.
Is that a movie you could watch a million times and never get tired of it?
I have watched it so many times, and I cannot stop being in awe of every. I've watched 1 and 2, and I would put them on equal ground. Apocalypse Now is really close.
Can you answer my question? Do you know the scene where Robert De Niro is walking across the roof and he's like stashing gun parts down pipes? He's walking across this flat roof.
Yes.
Which one is that?
I don't remember.
See, I get them confused.
Oh, I do too. But the first one has Marlon Brando in it.
That's the first one?
Yeah.
It's easier to keep it straight.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Addie is asking, are they talking about Karen Reed? We're going to talk about Karen Reed.
Yes, we are going to.
A lot, but not yet.
Momentarily.
Stefan is on TikTok with us. Hope you're both good, he says.
Oh, Stefan, what's up? I'm great. I hope you're good, buddy. Good to see you. Good to see all of you. Delegates here. Cosmic Urgency is saying that he's been told that smile stuff by females all his entire life. Yeah, that sounds like a right back at you, doesn't it? But whatever.
Been told all that smile stuff by females my entire life.
Yeah.
So
you got a charming smile, do you?
You should smile more? Or
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious to say to a dude. Oh my God.
Dude. It's a weird thing to say to a dude. Are you like mopey? I have a friend that's mopey and he gets called out for being mopey.
Mopey?
The Godfather 2 love is so strange to me. I think not recognizing that film for what it is stranger to me. I just don't understand how. Yeah, I mean, it's just brilliant. There are so many great films, and so it's such a difficult question to ask. It's almost an unfair question to answer, because like I could also say Naked or Vera Drake. I could say Deer Hunter. And in fact, like the opening to Deer Hunter is probably the greatest acting I had ever witnessed in my life at the time when I saw it. Like I would say that's true about the whole movie of Deer Hunter in general. But the opening scene, the whole opening sequence where they're piling out and into the cars and then into the wedding and all that shit, that is like, they don't do that in movies anymore. It's just not that perfect anymore. I can't remember. The last time I saw something remotely close, but it didn't have, like, one of the things that you're so kind about with my book is how I handle so many characters. And this is what Deer Hunter did, and did it in a way that was like where you felt like you were hanging out with your parents' friends, your parents and their friends. So Deer Hunter is an easy one to say was the best movie I ever saw.
It was like, I think last year where I first heard somebody observe that Christopher Walken doesn't blink in the entire movie. And
Yeah, well,
I have to watch it again to see, because that would just be such an incredible.
I can never believe it
choice.
because I blink.
Oh, so in case you guys blink at the same time, you wouldn't know it. I see.
There's literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of opportunities for
It's
us
an
to blink.
impossible experiment to conduct. I have to blink.
Yeah. Thoughts on Godfather 3? Oh my God. Oh, Godfather 3 was like, yeah, it's just, it shouldn't have happened. I understood Godfather 2 very much, but why Godfather 2 had to happen. But Cosmic Urgency is totally throwing me under the bus for everything I'm talking about. The ending to Deer Hunter is so obnoxious. Well, I mean, I guess, it's, it's hard to hit perfection. Perfection is really hard, and particularly because it's so subjective. Like, the reason I didn't say Deer Hunter is because I don't think it's a perfect movie. But I do think it's a brilliant movie, and I do think that it's one of the more incredibly. Again, we're talking about at the time, right? There Will Be Blood is a movie that is bloody close to perfection. It's really close to perfection. His performance, meaning Daniel Day-Lewis, is a staggering fuck. In the Name of the Father, like when we just like go down it's just a ridiculous question in terms of like the reality and scope of amazing films. And like I even really,
of
what's my favorite film, or what's the best film ever made?
Right.
Even like what's the best film ever made? Like people say Shawshank Redemption, which maybe I loved it. I don't know. It's so hard. Because Do the Right Thing is a staggering piece of genius that most people miss. I think most people don't even understand the true depth and quality of that movie. You know, it's probably Spike Lee's best movie. And that's saying a lot because Malcolm X is fucking brilliant.
Oh my God, I know. It would be really fun to do like a double feature about movies that have nothing to do with each other. Like Two by Danny Aiello, and have like Do the Right Thing with
Jacob's Ladder.
With Jacob's Ladder.
For sure. That's the two Danny Aiellos all day.
They're like completely opposite movies. And just pairing them together because Danny Aiello is amazing in them.
Oh my God. Breathtaking. Like that's another one, like when you talk about like perfect movies.
Perfect movie, yeah.
I think Jacob's Ladder is like really close to being the perfect horror film.
Jacob's Ladder is probably like my top 5.
It's like a perfect horror film, a perfect like creepy film. It's perfect. And it's interesting because when it came out, I saw it in LA. And the reason I saw it, this is like back in the old days, man, when shit was like kind of more fun to like when Discovery was a lot more fun because like ads actually where you had to actually pay attention to ads to know what the fuck was going on in the movie business. Mm-hmm. But on a bus, Jacob's Ladder drove by and I was like, I'm going to go see that like straight away. And I did. And it was fucking like, I mean, literally they to this day use shit from that movie in like, those like little morphs, those little weird morphs. Those were all his. I never saw it before him. Now maybe somebody did it in Europe or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, but mainstream guys, it was Adrian Lyne who did it.
He's so great.
Brilliant director. You still have to see Jacob's Ladder? Well, it'll be interesting. You'll probably come over here and shit all over it. Let's call. Cosmic Urgency still says he still has to see Jacob's Ladder. Well, I hope you will on my recommendation. And on your recommendation.
Danny Aiello is really good in it.
Tim Robbins is fucking staggering in it. The whole cast is outrageously brilliant in that movie. It's also brilliantly written. And you know what's interesting about it is what people don't know about it, don't recognize about it is it's a brilliantly written movie, and it's written by the same guy who wrote Ghost.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
that would be a good double feature.
It's so interesting because Ghost is like, you could see that Ghost is this sort of like commercial, lovey, romancy idea. And Jacob's Ladder is like this, like, kind of almost rotten to its core.
Don't spoil it.
Everybody see Jacob's Ladder. You'll absolutely love it.
Jacob's Ladder is much more conceptual. And I really appreciate movies that make you guess about what's real and what isn't. Like, I don't want all the answers. I don't want everything explained to me. I like to watch a movie and then like go and chat with my friends about like, what did you think happened? What do you think happened? Like it's just a relief to see movies like that where they're not just like where some studio hasn't been like, nope, you got to be clearer than that. Go back to the drawing board or whatever, Yeah. However it works. That's how it works, right? In the meetings.
Listen, guys.
Listen.
It's just not clear enough. I'm going to need you to go back to the drawing board.
That's how it goes.
And then they literally walk out and like with their, shoulders slouched and their heads hanging on their necks dangling. And then they open up a door and there's a drawing board and they just walk up and then they like pick up the eraser and they just start erasing slowly.
Cosmic Urgency said, what are your Letterboxd accounts? I know Angela has one. Well, you called me out.
I don't know if I have one.
I do have one, but it's not worth sharing with you because I don't actually write any reviews. There's too many clever people and I got intimidated. So I just don't engage.
You're like, I can't hang.
I have basically just been like rating movies I've seen.
I might do spoiler-free
But that's
ones.
it.
I might go like do a letterbox and just do spoiler-free ones, which means that you'll get like 3 sentences.
I like reading the reviews on there because they're usually really funny.
Well, you're like somebody who can handle spoilers. You're not afraid of them. I literally like when people are like, "Oh my God, I cried so hard in that movie." I'm like, "Fuck!"
And that's not even a spoiler. You're so sensitive.
That is a spoiler.
He hates spoilers.
That's a spoiler. That's a spoiler.
I can't even talk to you about a movie. If I tell Dale who is in the movie, he considers that a spoiler.
Listen,
He doesn't want to know anything.
when well, but like so like in books, like people are like, "Oh, what's a movie that like makes you cry the most or whatever?" Or like what's a book what's a book that like totally made you cry, or I just need a book that's going to really make me cry. And everyone's like, you know, whatever, pick a book, you
A
know.
Little Life.
Yeah,
It makes everyone sob.
well, yeah. Yeah, or Flowers of Algernon.
Algernon.
Have you read that?
No.
Oh, well, you must. All humans should read that book.
Wait, what was your point for bringing this up?
I still read them and like those posts, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna read that now. So like that's where I got.
There's a spoiler.
That's where I got the
So
Nightingale.
you accept book spoilers, but
Yeah, I'm
not
telling on
movie
myself.
spoilers.
Exactly, I'm telling on myself right now.
Dale, you're a complicated man. You're an enigma.
I'm an enigma.
In the new translation of the Odyssey,
Yes.
well, there's probably a newer one since hers came out, but it was this. Oh, it's right behind you. Can you grab that? I can't remember her name.
Hang on, I want to show. I'm just gonna before we do it. I'm just gonna transition because this is for Delicate. Delicate, this one's for you. Look at this. These are like now, 2 of my now favorite musicians together.
Dale,
What?
I was not just trying to talk to you about.
Okay,
something.
yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
What are you doing?
Tell me. I queued something up. Tell me.
Okay, so see behind you the Odyssey right there on your bookshelf, right next to Werner
Yeah.
Herzog.
Yeah.
Okay, open that up.
This one.
No, the
This
Odyssey.
one?
Yep.
Oh,
What's
the other
this-
one is Hero with 1,000 Faces.
What's this translator's name?
This translator's name is Emily Wilson.
Okay,
If that is your real name.
okay. So in the first pages,
Yeah.
what is? It says, "Oh, Amuse, tell me about a complicated man" or something. There's going to be some preface.
What am I doing? You're having me read the Odyssey to people?
No, just the first, just the opening.
Is the opening?
Because I just called you a complicated man, and now I want you to read this on video.
I don't know where to begin.
It's at the beginning.
Well, there are several beginnings.
I know, but okay. So when you see page numbers and not Roman numerals,
Oh. Page numbers. The Odyssey. The beginning. Have you read this book before?
I read the whole thing. Yeah,
I didn't read this translation. I read a translation back in like 1990 something.
this one's better.
Damn it, it's the introduction. You said where the numbers start.
Yeah,
Lies.
I just wanted you to record this,
All right, guys. We're
and only because I just called you.
Angela has totally accosted the live
It's because I called you a complicated man.
and made me. I'm literally
Like,
flipping through a book.
that's what they
I feel
say.
stupid.
That's what they said about
This
Odysseus.
introduction is 79 pages long.
Yeah, she has a lot of history to cover.
Now it's maps. Good Lord. Book
Maps.
1. Is that what we're looking at? Book 1. At
Yes.
book 1.
Uh-huh.
Well, it says I got my Santa glasses on. Tell me about a complicated man. Muse, tell me how he wandered and was lost when he had wrecked the holy town of Troy, and where he went and who he met, the pain he suffered on the sea, and how he worked to save his life and bring his men back home. He failed, and for their own mistakes they died. They ate the sun god's cattle, and the god kept them from home. Now godless child of Zeus, tell the story for our modern times. Find the beginning.
That's good. That's good.
Find the beginning is so fucking cool.
Mhm.
That's so neat. You know why?
Yeah,
You know why?
that's
You know why I
cool.
love it.
That's amazing.
You know what I love about that? About like find the beginning is one of my beliefs about like, or this is my beliefs. The way that I work best is to know my ending. And I am finding my beginning. Like I rewrote my beginning 3 years into this book behind me.
Yeah.
Too real, a Hollywood memoir. You know what I mean? Anyway, so
I
where were
thought
we?
your story was very much like the Odyssey because you conquered Troy, right? You made a film in Hollywood
Yes.
against all odds.
Yes.
Right?
While singing the song itself.
And then you were banished, right? Lost at sea.
Banished.
And then you were like, held captive on Calypso's island, right? Basically, you were stuck in a marriage in the East Coast, far away from where you belonged, your home, back in, with your wife, right at, Penelope, whatever.
And now, yeah.
Anyway, it was like the amount of time that you were stuck away from Los Angeles was like the same amount of time that he was stuck on this island under a spell, where he like lost his purpose, where he lost his desire to go back home. And then since I've met you, I've always just wanted to return you back home. And so I'm sort of like the Athena character that like guides you back to where you belong. And look at where you are. Not quite back, but we're still working on it.
Here we are. Blacklisted as ever.
Just like Odysseus.
Just like Odysseus. So you haven't seen it yet, but I just put a picture up that I found on the internet today, and it brought me absolute utter joy. So if you can't see it on YouTube, Angela, it is a picture of Taylor Swift and Trey Anastasio.
Oh, at like an award show or something?
Yeah, it looks like
AI. Why are they so smooth?
Don't tell me it's AI. I want this to be real. I need this. These guys are my Taylor's my new music love. Like I just love her. I literally like sneak her in for minutes at a time just to hear her voice and hear smacking around some ideas, I just absolutely fucking adore her. And of course, Trey Anastasio was somebody I fell in love with as a guitar player back in the 90s. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with Delicate.
It's delightful.
Hi, Erica.
Is this a picture in a frame on somebody's wall? Why is it all slanted like that?
I don't know. I don't know any of this. All I know is that those two people are fucking awesome.
It's fun.
I shouldn't say fucking because people can infer. Those two people are awesome. They're awesome musicians, and I think they're probably awesome people. And what people, you know what? I don't have it handy. I don't even know if I know where it is. But I met Trey Anastasio when I was back in Los Angeles, and we had a client. He hired one of our clients he did the music. Well, they hired one of our clients because he did the music for a play that tried to get to Broadway called Hands on a Hard Body, which was this. I guess it was a play based on a TV like stunt or whatever, where this dealership had all these people put their hands on a car, and the last person with their hand on the car won the car. And it was like broadcast live in this town or whatever. Uh-huh. And so they made a musical out of it. And Trey did all the music.
Delicate said that's the 2016 Grammys. I recognize her outfit.
Ah, you're amazing.
That's great.
Erica's here. Hi, Erica. It's good to see you.
Cosmic Urgency wants to know, why do you guys hate Kevin Connolly's short? Because the lack of fan favorite Scott Bloom? Yes.
Well,
I think his short is really telling about him as an artist and how much he values his collaborators, because that he gave Scott Bloom, one of his oldest friends, a role to be Robert Downey Jr.'s punching bag, without any lines, without a name.
Especially at that stage, like this wasn't like it wasn't like
a favor to a new actor or something.
They weren't 20 anymore.
No, I know.
Like this was on enough in his career where like he needed a favor. You know what I don't understand, and I've run into this a lot, just everywhere. It doesn't matter. It could be friends in Canada, it could be friends in the United States. I just understand why don't people want to help people? Yeah. Like, is it because of Amway? Like, did Amway did Amway like create like this like absolute hatred for anybody wanting or asking for help or involvement with somebody else?
So random, but I bet you're right, because it happened to me.
Right.
I had a really close friend from high school, and we reconnected as adults. Are you getting a phone call?
No, that was Delicate mentioning me in a comment.
I reconnected with a really close friend from high school as adults, and she invited me over to her house to like do one of these like sales pitch things.
Right.
And I never talked to her again.
Right. Scorned.
I was like, I'm not your like marketing tool. What the
Has like Mary Kay completely spoiled all of our...
I think you're right. But that's not why Kevin Connolly doesn't appreciate his friends.
No. But the question, the suddenly it's like, no, the
You're
question,
talking about like culturally.
Yeah, I'm saying like, is there this permeation of, through the culture of people not like feeling at odds with, it's as if people are happier helping strangers. Like this happened numerous times in Hollywood, literally where like somebody's best friend or close friend, no names. Actor 1 up for a massive role, right? Actor 2 up for a massive role. Both actors are friends. These are both of these guys. These guys are my friends. Okay. And then there's a third guy that none of us know. He's up for the role, and all three are going to test. And when I say big movie, it became a cult classic that had 4 or 5 sequels after. And this person was in all of them.
That's a big deal.
Who got the fuck? It changed their life. They became a movie star after this. The person who got the role. So it was this I almost named. So it was person number 1, my friend. Person number 2, my friend. Person number 3, not my friend. I was closer with person number 1, and person number 1 and I were hanging out. And person number 1 said, "I'm fine if I don't get it." Like he was super excited about testing against 3 people for a role that he knew would change his life. And he said to me, I'm okay if I don't get it. Like I've come to terms with the fact, like if I don't get it, I don't get it. But if person number 2, our friend, gets it, he'll be fucking upset. If he doesn't get it, he said he wanted person number 3, the person that was a complete stranger and that nobody knows, to get it. And I looked him in the face and I was like, bro, that's our friend. Are you saying that? Like, I was so excited because I was like, I felt like I had 2 horses in the race. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, I got 2 horses in this fucking race, bro. I'm going to go see this movie and one of my friends are going to be in it. That's how I felt. And I was right, by the way. One of my friends got the role. But not the one who said that he'd rather a stranger get it than his own friend.
It's just fucking weird.
That's like, it was in that moment that I was like,
it's just like,
what trouble am I in?
I know.
Like, I was literally like, what trouble am I in right now?
Truly antisocial behavior. Like, why are you so wrapped up in jealousy before even a thing happens?
Yes.
That would make you jealous. Like it's anticipatory jealousy.
It's anticipatory jealousy.
That sucks. Jenna has a question. How do you know if you're still blacklisted, if that makes sense? We tested the theory.
It gets tested. Well, we
tested the theory. I knew a producer. This is in Dale's book.
Well, this is 2014 now. Yeah. So, but yes.
But that was still, I was like, hey man, it's been like.
Well, that had been almost 20
like
years.
15 years.
That was 20. Well, it was 20 years since shooting almost. There was 19 years since shooting. And it had been at that point, 14 years since settling.
I also suspected that Dale might not have been blacklisted anymore because at that point, before Dale started speaking up with Free Don's Plum, nobody was even talking about Don's Plum. I was like, this is old news, especially in the States where this movie never got distributed. I was like, maybe this isn't a thing. And Dale is a really, really talented writer with really great, super original ideas. So I brought one of his stories to this producer friend of mine who early in his career had a lot of movies that were kind of in line with the sort of stuff that Dale makes, you know, like really innovative, gritty.
And you're not really being like exactly forthright in that, like, this guy wasn't just a producer friend. This guy was a $1 billion producer. Like, he was not like, he was.
It definitely would have been like pocket change to him to help make this movie.
Not just pocket change, but he was just somebody who was like, he was super influential. And he was just somebody like.
He's also the sort of person who, like, he was talking about like how if I wanted to make a film, if I got some things together, he would just be able to make a phone call at any of these agencies and they would just open the door. Like, basically, if you have a guy of his status, just put in a word in, like, hey, this is my friend, she's just starting out, like, make sure she's got access, then I would just have access. It's just like incredible. That's why they say Hollywood is such a networking town, because it really is just who you know. If you know somebody big, you can act like you're big too until you also get big yourself. So that was just another thing. So I brought this this project of Dale's to this producer, and he was very interested. And we had a meeting about it. And then he wanted to know more about Dale. And when I was like, oh, no, he is a produced, like, he's made films before. Like, he's not some like noob. This isn't like novice project.
Right. You're like, he has credits.
Yeah. And I told him about what he'd done before. As soon as he'd heard the title of Dawn's Flum, he like clammed up. Basically, he explained it to me. He said, oh, I don't know the whole story, but I know that DiCaprio is at odds with this person that you're talking about, and that I can't work with this person because DiCaprio is like, this is like persona non grata for him. And I was like, but that's absurd, because the dude who I was talking to, this producer, was like way of a bigger deal, like in money potential. In Hollywood, he was like making way bigger projects. I know it sounds weird because DiCaprio is like this huge star, but he's a huge star in what he does. What this other guy does is he makes a bunch of more money for a lot more people.
Like so much more money.
So it's just like, as far as like tiers go.
Well, he's the guy who hires DiCaprio.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I said, I was so confused. I was like, this is also in Dale's book, but I was like, but you know, you're bigger than him. Like, you don't have to just like let DiCaprio decide how you're going to conduct your business. Like, if you're interested in this project and you think it could be something great, why are you going to care about what fucking DiCaprio's not involved? Like, why are we even talking about him? Like, you're bigger than DiCaprio. And he was like, nobody's bigger than DiCaprio. He like corrected me. It was like, oh, you foolish, sweet summer child. He was like, you obviously don't know what you're talking about. In this business, nobody's bigger than DiCaprio.
No.
I was like, okay. Well, this is why you guys can't have nice things. This is why people like fucking Harvey Weinstein get to like ruin your business. You know? It's
also like what's the point in like so, okay, so what? Why block me? What does that got to do with me?
I know. What does it have to do with you? What does it have to do with this producer's business?
Like, I wasn't going to hire a Leo.
He didn't have any, there was no overlap between DiCaprio's business choices and his business choices. Like, there hadn't been any, there's no collaboration between them. And even that was like, 10 years ago, there still hasn't been.
No.
And so it's like, what are you doing? What are you like curtailing your own work for his benefit for what? Like, he still hasn't earned anything from DiCaprio. He might have earned something from you, It's just, I don't know why. And the reason why I bring up Weinstein is because, like, a lot of people pretended like they weren't responsible because they wanted to keep their options open. So they were just going to, like, pretend like they weren't going to, like, that they weren't affected or they weren't going to rock the boat because they wanted to make sure that their network was open and they weren't going to have any doors closed. Like, you had doors closed.
Right.
Right? But it like ultimately didn't fucking benefit anybody. Like, Weinstein was able to like almost like entire companies were destroyed when his wrongdoing came to light and there was this big reckoning. It all could have been avoided. I don't understand why any of these people. Here's the thing about power. In almost any context, it's given. Like, DiCaprio doesn't get a say by default. You give him a say. Like this huge producer.
This is the thing that drives me crazy about the whole thing is just like,
he said nobody's more powerful than DiCaprio, and in that moment, he made that happen.
Yeah.
He made that sure.
Anyway, I don't want to like take up the whole live on it, but yeah.
You don't think it's important?
Well, here's what I think is really important.
Move on.
I just noticed.
Doesn't matter to me.
I just noticed I was doing this, Angela.
You were rolling your booger?
Did you guys ever see that Matthew McConaughey SNL bit? Because he was like in that, isn't it like he's like in a car commercial or something?
Yes, he was doing like a car commercial series for Lexus, and he's
like sitting there and he's like talking and he's like Matthew McConaughey,
like rolling his fingers,
ASMR or whatever.
No, it's like he's stimming like
he's stimming.
Where you just like.
But SNL turned it into a booger. I just looked over at like the live and I saw myself and I was like, they're gonna think I'm rolling a booger.
No, you were stimming.
Super funny.
Okay. So that's my whole tirade.
Oh, Misty Toe, what's happening? It's been so long. Every now and then we get some of the older folks dropping in. Yeah.
Nadine is with us on TikTok.
Hi, Nadine.
Nadine said, I spent the weekend at a con. I met an actor who was in a Leo Toby movie, and I recommended the book.
Oh, that's so nice.
I let him know what I thought of them. He said sometimes people get money and lose their character.
We tell us who it is? Do I know them? Like, do you know if I know them? I guess you should say.
Nadine is welcome to DM either one of us. Let us know.
I am straight up going to like wonder. I wish I had. Nadine, I should just send you some books. You just have them to be.
Stefan has a good question.
Yeah.
Are all of your scripts set in the same universe?
No. Well, my mind. No.
They're all in the same universe, right?
Yeah.
They're like
Milky Way.
in
Universe.
like our like present time, like as it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of
sci-fi.
I'm like a real guy. I really don't. Yeah, even my my paranormal is rooted in reality. You know, my paranormal is leaves you with more questions than it does answers, and it leaves everyone to believe what they want out of it.
That's interesting that you're like, so you have a paranormal love story in which paranormal things do happen in that universe.
Yeah.
And then you have another story that doesn't involve any paranormal elements, but it still happens in the same paranormal universe. Those people just aren't affected by paranormal stuff.
Right. Right. Cosmic Urgency said that he liked Ghost, and I too liked Ghost. One of my favorite movies of that time. Like at the time I saw it, I was head over heels for. I thought it was some of the best writing I had ever seen on the screen, because the thing about Ghost that was so cool is that it was everything. What made the movie so brilliant was that it was everything.
Yeah.
It was it was a romance. It was a comedy. It was a thriller. I mean, it just had it all. It was just like an amazing script in that way. But it was so overtly committed, right? Like obviously it's a real ghost, right? The grumpy ghost kicks the cans on the in the subway, and whereas with mine it's going to be like, well, is this going on in the mind, or is this going on in our world?
Oh yeah, I love that about. I was just talking about how much I liked that about Jacob's Ladder, where you're like, was it not? Like, is this guy crazy? Did it really happen? Like, I just love that about your story. I can't wait till it exists so that we can actually reference it. But there's definitely this, as we've been developing it, I don't know what's going to make it to the page because I don't really have a say. But as far as we've been talking, it's really exciting to think about, like, your protagonist is a very old man. And so is he just imagining things? Like, is he hallucinating from dementia or like, some other diagnosis?
Well, because before he goes into that, his demons ran up the wall. Like they ran up the wall right in front of him, And he's not, he's not startled by it at all. He just looks at them and continues with his whiskey.
Cosmic Urgency wants to know, why aren't you naming names? Because in our story, I was talking about a very wealthy person who
no. Oh, I think he was talking about, that goes back to when I was doing then that goes back to when I was talking about the two friends.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to name names about the two friends because
the one,
it's embarrassing.
Sounds like a jerk.
It's fucking embarrassing. And the person who didn't want to help his own friend, or didn't want to root for his own friend to succeed over him, he's not a bad dude. He was just, I gotta do my thing over here. He's not a bad dude. He was just, he just exposed himself as somebody who was so insecure in his own skin that he couldn't stand being around somebody who might have outdueled him in some way, I suppose. Do you know what I mean, though? Do you know what I mean?
And I wasn't naming names because I was
High on Fumes joined. Man, I hope High on Fumes stays, just because I love the name. Sorry.
What the heck? Because
they say in the tips on getting more audience, you got to greet people. Hi.
I'm with you on greeting people.
I'm high on
Fumes. I like to greet people too. I was just talking is all. It wasn't important.
I think they mean like the View Askew universe. Oh, you mean who's there? Are we talking about Kevin Smith now?
I don't know.
Is that a Kevin Smith? Because that's his company name, View Askew, or was. I guess that was him. It was like Scott Mosier or something. Are you Scott Mosier?
We're gonna keep trying to identify Cosmic Urgency.
Cosmic Urgency can never ever reveal his true identity, so that we can always. Jenna's asked more than once if Cosmic Urgency is Scott Bloom. He said, "Oh, Dr. Susan is here. Hi, Dr. Susan." He said that he has a daughter. So that would be a nix on the Scott Bloom. Scott Bloom
How do you know?
does not have a daughter to
How
my...
do you know that? Maybe you don't. Maybe that was a clue. Maybe the clues are right under our nose.
Maybe he was
our
like,
noses.
"You're my what? I'm your daughter." Maybe that's the situation.
Maybe.
I always wondered if I was going to get that, like,
I just
ding
love
dong,
that,
Dad?
I just love that Cosmic Urgency isn't beating the allegations because he said he corrected the spelling. He was like, it's Scott Bloom and he's an icon. And that's exactly how I imagine
Scott Bloom would answer that question.
Yes.
Especially because he's selling like his...
He said fan favorite Scott Bloom a few times. It's really great.
What I meant to say when I'm just closing my Trey Anastasio and Taylor Swift page, and what I want everyone to know about Trey Anastasio is that he was wonderful. Like, and I mean wonderful. I got to spend an afternoon hanging around, and he couldn't have been kinder. And man, I just felt so lucky to be able to meet him, because not only is he legendary, but he's also super kind. And I've met legendary people before that weren't like Wayne Gretzky. Fuck that guy.
Oh, okay, cool. So Cosmic Urgency is clarifying. I think the person who asked about whether it was the same universe in all your screenplays meant like Kevin Smith's View Askew universe, like how characters cross over in the movies.
Oh.
But your screenplays never share characters, do they?
Nope.
Have you ever thought of doing like a spin-off with your characters?
I did. I did think about doing something like that, but then I started realizing that I was getting hung up on trying to be clever and not concentrating on my characters and my story. Like every time I tried to there are people out there who can like put these kinds of concepts together, and sometimes I have to bite my tongue and not catch myself warning people when I shouldn't be, for example. But like I find like gimmick chasing to often come at a cost to characters, story, so on and so forth. That's not always the case, because there are people who can do it so fucking great. Pee Wee Herman is a perfect example of that. Obviously, it was performance art, but you follow?
Yeah.
So,
what are you doing?
I'm trying to get my page back. So, anyway, yeah. So,
Guilty Angel has a question.
Yes.
Are the rumors true that Leo doesn't bathe?
Well, I don't know what he does now, but I can tell you that they would be true back in 1995 and 1996.
He didn't bathe, or he was just stinky?
He would definitely go long times between baths, between showers. Yeah.
I think that's typical teenage boy stuff.
I didn't find anything irregular about it.
I think if your parents aren't like on your ass constantly to bathe, I think that sometimes you just don't.
I went at least 2 years without washing my hair. At least. I probably went more like 4 or 5 years without washing my hair.
2 years?
Yes.
Why?
Because my hair was gorgeous, by the way.
Wait a second.
Gorgeous.
Why would you not wash your hair?
It was velvet. Like the velvet drapes behind you, but that was my hair.
Ew, Dale. Ew. That's probably why that girl didn't sleep with you then. She was like, this guy's nice, but he's stinks.
No, when I was 17, I was washing my hair, bro. It wasn't until I was in my 20s when I was like, fuck this hair washing bullshit. So the truth, though, is that I rinsed my hair every day.
The question was about Leo. And so, you just volunteered. Well, you guys want to hear about what a dirty, unbathed person I was?
It's always about me. You know it's about me. So,
so did he stink?
Yes, he stunk. At times. I too stunk at times. So I don't want to sound like
I know, I think it's typical.
Like there was something odd happening. Oh, Leo is pungent.
I feel like every teenage boy that I ever knew was either like stinky or like drenched in cologne to not be stinky.
I too had cologne.
I think that's how it goes.
But I wasn't like...
It's hormones are rough, man. They do all kinds of weird shit.
I wasn't so... I wasn't like, whenever I noticed a scent coming from myself, I would remedy the problem, but I wasn't always like in the shower. Kevin Connolly every day.
You said like twice a day.
Sometimes twice a day. If you'll not find a picture of Kevin Connolly on this earth with his hair any longer than it is.
Because he always got a haircut?
He gets a haircut every 3 fucking days. Like he gets a haircut every fucking week. I shit you not. Weekly haircuts. Weekly haircuts.
What's his problem?
You go try to find a picture. Show me a picture. Maybe it's happened.
He just likes haircuts
and showers.
You don't need a haircut every week.
No, but his hair, literally, you won't find a picture with his hair being a different length.
What a weird issue.
I know. I knew another guy like that too. Actually,
is it like an OCD thing? What is that about?
Rich Riccolo, who starred opposite Ryan Reynolds, and that's how I met Ryan Reynolds back in the day, through 2 men and a girl in a pizza fucking parlor. And he was another one who, like, his hair was exactly the same way.
I bet their hairdressers loved them. They'd sit in the chair. They'd be like, snip, snip. Okay, we're done.
He was in another 5 fucking minutes, bro.
Yeah.
Like, oh, see you. $25 fucking later, boom. Guy's $100 a month.
Amazing.
He's he probably now he's like $100 a haircut or something.
Cosmic Urgency wants to know, did you go to the Brady Bunch movie premiere?
No, I should have. I didn't. I don't know why I didn't.
Erica wants to know, didn't Leo grow up on like a commune or something?
Not to my knowledge. He grew up in Hollywood. He grew up in Silver Lake, or East LA as he calls it.
It might have been that he like visited like extended family who were living on a commune or something, and he probably tells that story. His dad hung out with like the Tim Learys. Yes.
Do you know who Timothy Leary is?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
For those of you who don't know who Timothy Leary is, he was a PhD who was highly experimental in hallucinogens and wrote about it.
Counterculture artist types.
Yes. And George, he tripped with those dudes. Reminds me of when I saw Ginsberg. I saw him, I was with Jerry Metters, and we were eating at a Beverly Hills restaurant. And Ginsberg walked in. He wrote the poem America. And if you haven't heard Ginsberg reciting his poem America, you owe yourself the treat. It won't take much of it's a great time for it. I wonder if I could find it actually.
Nadine
Yeah.
on TikTok is answering Erica's question on YouTube that we think that you're confusing Leo with the Phoenix family. So River Phoenix and Joaquin Phoenix, and there's a bunch of siblings. They grew up on a commune. Leo didn't grow up on a commune.
To my knowledge, Leo did not.
But
there was no conversation of it. But
Leo's
they didn't tell me
story
everything.
about where he grew up, like I've read a bunch of his old interviews, and his story changes a lot. So I don't know what's true. I think he probably just told people whatever he thought would be interesting at the time, because he was trying to set himself apart from all of his other actor friends and be more interesting to whatever journalist was interviewing him at the time. I mean, it makes sense. And it's not like it's consequential. Who cares where he grew up?
So for those of you who are so kind to hang out with us all through the night, tonight when we leave, I'm going to play Ginsberg reading his poem, America. It is about 9 minutes. And I'm going to play it for you guys. It's so fucking good. And this was like who, like George DiCaprio, like who he kind of tripped with and hung out with. And
Nadine said that the Phoenix family were in the Children of God cult. So was Rose McGowan. I think she wrote a memoir about it.
By the way,
I'd like to read that.
I saw a picture of her. She's living in Mexico. And I saw this picture. She looks amazing.
She always looks amazing.
No. She looks happy. Like her face has changed. You know? Mm-hmm. It's going that way now. You know? It's pretty great.
Okay. We have some things to talk about.
All right.
We have trials to talk about. I have 3 cases I'm following for your benefit and others. Okay? So I have updates from Blake Lively and
so before we get into that,
then Justin Baldoni. I have a little tidbit from the Diddy trial.
Yeah.
I have
so you got some updates. So
I have a lot to say about the expert witness in the Karen Reed trial today.
So I think we should get to that first.
Okay.
Before we do, because that's really the big meat of the day, because that's really the juice that's been going on, is it not?
Depends on who you follow, I think.
Disney has 2 scripts for Pirates of the Caribbean, or Caribbean. One of them with Johnny Depp and the other without. And Johnny Depp is in advanced talks with Disney to return as Mr. Sparrow. So wait till they hear about that.
So people online are going to lose their minds.
They're going to lose their mind.
Like what they do about everything.
But so Johnny Depp might be returning as Jack Sparrow. I'm good with that.
Yeah, who cares?
Bring it.
I'm like, oh, okay, like sequel number 8. Like, go for it, man. It literally doesn't matter.
Well, I don't know if I saw.
Yeah, the Guilty Angels, like they're still making the Pirates movies.
Yeah. Wait, why is she saying that's what we want to hear? What did I miss? What did we want to hear? Oh, the juice. Let's go then. Let's go with the juice.
Okay.
I just wanted to share that last. That was really, I have a couple of little ones that I can get to or not today or tomorrow or whatever. So go.
Okay. So the Karen Read trial. The prosecution had their expert witness who was expert at accident reconstruction. Okay. And so he took the data from Karen Read's Lexus.
He's a PhD, right? Or
no.
He's not?
No, he's just a guy who works for an accident reconstruction firm.
Oh, that's right. This is his own business. I remember I
don't think it's his own business. I think he's one of a few guys who works in this thing. But the jury doesn't know this, but the company is called Aperture, and they are constantly putting up events for the district attorney's office and like awarding this judge with like awards and stuff. Like they're really.
This is, by the way, the prosecutors. This is really their star witness. Like, I mean, they have this is the one that they want to convince the jury. And this is why he's coming at the end, because they're gonna close. I believe they're closing with him.
Yeah, typically the final word is the most important for the jury. Excuse me. So they'll always want to have like their best expert with the best evidence of their case be the last that the jury hears from them. And so this guy, in my opinion, just like bungled the whole thing. It's just really weird.
Billy Bungle.
The jury heard about measurements of the car, and he did like a bunch of like laser scanning of the entire set. The scene of the crime, the alleged crime, and then all these laser measurements of the car and all this high tech stuff. And so he did this like basically like this model graphic of where Karen Read pulled up to the house and where she had done her 3-point turn in order to turn around and go back home.
Yeah. So you watched them, like they showed this to the jury and to you?
He like went over like how the whole model shows where every piece of evidence was collected that they know about, right? Because the cops really screwed up by not really logging where they found every piece of evidence. They were just like, yeah, general vicinity.
No, I couldn't believe it. They were like, what? Why would I take a picture when I said it's within the general vicinity?
Yeah, totally. So what he did know, he was able to put on that graph. And then I
wonder if he practiced the word vicinity,
probably
before trials, like, say it one more time. Vicinity. I got it. It's long, but I got it.
Vinicity. Crap.
That N. That fucking N.
So he spent like 2 hours telling the jury that he has conclusively proved that Karen Read pulled up to the house and then did a 3-point turn and that she pulled back away for home.
I mean, I can't even believe it. Well, I happen to catch that part.
Nobody is refuting any of that.
Yeah.
Nobody is refuting it. Karen Read is like, yeah, I pulled up at the house and then I got angry and I was also driving drunk and I was angry and so I sped away and I did the 3-point turn. I turned around and I went home. Like, bro, like we don't need you to do this. He also did a bunch of like reconstruction with like a dummy, like a crash test dummy, where he threw the dummy back from both.
He called it a CTD, but okay.
No, it's whatever. And he threw the dummy back and he proved that when you're thrown back and you hit the ground and you hit your head, right? This is a dummy, right? Not somebody who's like in control of their body, but when you hit the ground that you'll end up creating abrasions on the back of your head. And he was like, see, there's the wounds on John O'Keefe's head where he has abrasions, and here in the crash test dummy, we were also able to create abrasions, but that still doesn't say that Karen Read had anything to do with it. We also don't think that
it's the stupidest thing I ever heard. I mean, it's just so stupid. It's just it's laughably dumb. It's just like, oh well, since that happened, then it must have been her. Like it's just
he didn't even
with no other like no white witnesses.
He didn't even make that claim either. He was just showing the jury. Like,
no, I'm saying that's the inference.
See how if I shove a dummy over, it has an abrasions on the back of his head, just like John O'Keefe did, and we're like, yeah, we don't know what happened to him, but we know he was injured this way. Like you're still telling us everything we already know. So he's just like the jury's exhausted by this late in the trial. He's not showing them anything new. It's just very strange. The next thing that he does is absolutely odd. Do you want to pull up that video?
You just sent me?
Yeah. So one thing that he does is he measured Karen Read's car. Like he got the same car, the same make and model, okay? And he measured it. But there are people who own this car that are saying that when the car is off, it actually will settle down like several inches to make it easier to get in and out of the car. Like this is one of the smart features of the car, that it'll like sort of like take a bow so that you can get in and out of it.
And they say that about like it backing up and nearly hitting stuff too, right? You'll get into that, but like isn't that also something that it does? The car.
Yeah, but let me just make this point.
Okay.
His measurements didn't account for that. So nobody knows whether if he measured the car while it was turned off, if that's the same measurement that Karen Read would have had on her car when it was turned on. And he's using all of these measurements, which could all essentially be wrong because he didn't take that into account or didn't explain it. The jury doesn't know this about this car because they can't do their own independent research. But it could be that he did accident reconstruction with a car with measurements that are like several inches off. Like that's another thing about this. Hopefully they'll talk about that in cross-examination because this is potentially going to be the second expert witness that they completely obliterate in cross-examination. Like the one dude who lied about his resume might have lost his job, Another thing too is that they have all of this data from this. It's like $100,000 vehicle, right? It's got all of this like smart
this chick was rich.
Data collection.
Fucking Karen had the money, bro.
None of them can ever point to the time where the car notified the driver of something behind the car while it was backing up. And I feel like that's just really basic. It's been basic for many years that there's back sensors, like sensors on the back of the car that will tell you if you're about to hit something.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a person or a kid or a pole or whatever.
Whatever.
There's nothing in the data collection that shows that she ever got a notification like that. And it would have been recorded. It's just as they can like pinpoint how she made a 3-point turn. Anyway, so the guy was trying to prove how John O'Keefe got those injuries because that's like the biggest thing that is still outstanding, surely in the jury's mind, but everybody else's too. This guy has wounds that are not explained from a vehicle strike, okay? He doesn't have any bruising or broken bones. He has parallel, weird-looking scrapes to one of his arms, his right arm. He has a tiny nick on his right knee, but no bruising, and nothing on his torso that he didn't receive from CPR. So, like, right. Absolutely nothing came from
which they fucked him up.
Yeah, well, CPR does fuck you up. It breaks your ribs and stuff. So
I'm queued up for you, by the way. Just let me know when you want it.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So this guy did this one test, okay? And this is what's on this video. I don't know if there's audio. I haven't tried to see.
Okay, let's see.
So this guy did this one test where he painted the brake light that apparently shattered when it struck John O'Keefe. He painted the brake light blue so that he could show you exactly how it lines up with the wounds on his arm. But he still can't explain how those wounds came about because the brake light didn't like turn into a bunch of shards and stick him in the arm. It apparently was pressed in.
Here we go. This is 1 minute long. You ready?
Yeah. So this guy who is a different height, but only by off like a couple inches, and he wore the same clothes that John O'Keefe wore, which everybody found was very strange and might have just been a manipulation on the prosecution's part to sort of like evoke emotion from the jury. It's really
fucked
weird.
up. It's a fucked up thing to do.
It's kind of fucked up.
It's incredibly disrespectful to the family. Here we go.
So this is him doing his, I don't know if you guys can see, but on the right-hand side, there's a long arm, and that's John O'Keefe's actual injuries that he's trying to match. And then below that is Karen Read's car, which
you mean right here,
taillight pieces out.
On the right-hand side at the top.
Yeah,
these are the actual
John
injuries.
O'Keefe's,
I don't know if you can see them. But here they are. These are the
But
injuries.
that is
to his
the
arm.
really wide span of injuries from all the way almost up to his shoulder, almost down to his wrist.
And
so
they're all-
this guy is trying to prove.
All right, let me play this video. It's 1 minute long. Here we go.
And we'll throw this from 2 different angles. That's me showing I'm doing test 2. This is from a camera that we have pointing down at it. This is the speed. You'll see it's only about a 2-mile-an-hour impact. But even a 2-mile-an-hour impact redirects me back and causes me to rotate and take a step.
So at 24 miles an hour, he doesn't have a bruise?
So that's where he gets the blue paint on his arm. See him turn around? He's not showing off the paint.
Oh my God.
But he does in in the next segment he goes, which isn't included in this video. But I just wanted to show you guys how this guy, who is apparently an accident reconstruction expert, has decided that you guys should see how John O'Keefe was struck by this car in order to get the very obvious wounds on his arm. Okay? You don't have to replay it or anything. That's the end of that. So I don't know if you guys can see, but from this guy's accident reconstruction, he is standing to the side of the back of the car sideways, right? So that it could strike his right arm. So how did he get the wounds to his face? In another slide, he shows where the spoiler, there's a ridge that protrudes from the back of Karen Read's car above her rear light or rear
it's a spoiler, yeah.
So he in another photo, he shows how that would line up perfectly with John O'Keefe's back of his head. So if he was struck by the car that way, it would line up perfectly and it could strike John O'Keefe in the back of his head that way. But you can't have both. And this is what they're screwing up. So the jury has no idea still how this accident could have possibly occurred. They had a medical expert, a brain expert who's seen a bunch of brain injuries where he said that John O'Keefe's head is very consistent with the wounds on his head are very consistent with falling back onto a hard surface after being struck and falling down like a tree and you hit the ground. He was like, you can tell that he wasn't struck by anything is what the expert for the prosecution said. And now this guy is saying he has a wound that could have been caused by the spoiler, but also he has a wound that would have been caused by hitting the taillight with his arm, except he has to be in 2 different positions simultaneously.
You can't have them both.
You can't have them both.
Nope.
So the jury's still like, okay, well, I still don't know how this happened.
Yeah, that's it. Well, so this was their star witness, and all they seemed to successfully do was cast doubt on what it could be, including.
It looks like they're guessing.
Including this, by the way, this was kind of weird because this was out of the whatever you call it, this guy's space of expertise, his area of expertise. But he went on to say that the hard surface would be sufficient enough to cause the injury and the subsequent, death.
Who said that?
Of John O'Keefe. This guy did, yeah.
This guy
and he was speaking out of his scope. And it was interesting that there was no objections to it. And I guess part of the reason why is because it cast doubt. Because what happened was he said, yeah, a hard surface. And they were like, what surface did you use? Because he did it, and he used pavement.
He used pavement. Like you might have in your garage or your basement.
So he used cement.
Not
that makes their argument as far as doubt.
Not the lawn.
Not a frozen lawn. No.
I mean, they're just screwing up. I don't understand why they can't.
I thought that was like so bad for them when that happened because I was like, oh my God, he just fucking created doubt.
No, that's right. He's supposed to be an accident reconstruction expert, and he's reconstructing. So that what you just saw, what you just played,
is one of many scenarios.
He's having the car strike him at 2 miles per hour, and nobody is alleging that Karen Read struck anybody at 2 miles per hour. So what is he proving?
And by the way, 100%
cast out,
0% chance a 2 mile an hour smack on fleshy arm breaks that lens on that taillight anyway.
No, he's not alleging that Karen Read ever did 2 mile per hour. He was just trying to conduct an experiment wearing John
at 2 miles an hour, right?
And positioning his arm in a way that it maybe could have been injured by a taillight with all that blue paint and everything. So you could show that he wanted to show the imprint of the blue paint on his arm and how if his arm was bent just right, who knows how John was bending his arm? He doesn't know. But if his arm is bent just right, then maybe it covers the same amount of space that his parallel wounds do. You cannot
send somebody to jail for the rest of their life on this fucking nonsense.
And he can't demonstrate how any of the pieces of taillight protruded enough to make those scrape gouges that we found on the body of the victim. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't make any sense. Another person was talking about the jury hasn't heard this either, but somebody was talking about how they work at a body shop and they see all the time these. It's a polycarbonate plastic. That's what these taillights are made of.
Yeah, they don't shatter.
And her taillight was made of 2 layers of polycarbonate plastic.
Right.
There's the red layer, and then there's a diffuser clear layer underneath
To create a glow, yeah.
So they're not saying that he broke through 1 layer and didn't break any bones or have any bruises. They're saying he broke through 2 layers.
Impossible.
And shattered it into 60 pieces.
It's literally impossible in my view. It's like just impossible. They don't make them that fragile. They can't.
There was the guy that worked at the body shop is like, we see cracked taillights all the time, but they're not like obliterated.
And at higher speed accidents, or at same speed accidents.
He showed a bunch of pictures. This was on Twitter. He showed a bunch of pictures of like cars that were like totally rear-ended, like
crunched,
smashed in,
with the taillights intact.
And the taillights are cracked.
Yeah.
That's it.
There was that one guy also who was an amateur, but he got that same substance that they used, and he put a bone in there.
Oh yeah, like the ballistic gel.
And he set it up at 24 miles an hour, unlike this fucking clown today, who the prosecutor wants to.
This fucking clown.
What a fucking clown shows up with a 2 mile an hour video saying, "See."
I know.
Like I said, he fucking did it. Like it's just
guys like that, and I'm like, Lord, grant me the confidence of one of these mediocre men.
What the fuck? I can't believe people are like he literally sat there, and not only did he say that to a certain degree of certainty or whatever scientific certainty that she struck him with the car in this manner and caused him to fall and strike his head and cause his death. Not only did he I forget where I was going with it. That is so stupid. Just to say that alone is so fuck. But the interesting thing about this witness, and although he's going back on the stand tomorrow for
Cross.
No, not for Cross. He's still not done with direct either. There's still some more direct.
More.
Yeah, there's more direct. But in today they wrapped today with this guy making an inappropriate statement about the likelihood, the scientific certainty that she committed all these simultaneous events came as a result of her in this one action. And the judge struck it and firmly looked at the jury and said, disregard. You cannot regard what this person has just said. Then called a sidebar.
That looks really, really bad.
And then called an immediate sidebar.
Because the prosecution should be bringing up the best witnesses that could possibly be found.
So their star witness in his big, gotcha moment got cited by the judge.
Just games, bro.
And there's no way, as a juror, you're going to be like, even if you wanted to believe him, which I'm not saying that there aren't going to be jurors and even people who are watching the trial who aren't going to be like, hey, I think the guy's credible. But it's the same thing that you're in with O.J. Simpson, that those jurors were in with O.J. Simpson. Like those jurors walked away with having given the right verdict when they were probably like everybody else without, with a certain amount of certainty that he did do it. But that there's any amount of reasonable doubt. You can't expect to put people like I was screaming at the TV before his conviction, before his acquittal, O.J. Simpson. That they have to quit him.
It's also a case of if this is their last witness, we have yet to see the prosecution make a single claim that supports second-degree murder. They have not said anything that supports
intent.
That she had an intent to kill him in that moment.
Why the fuck would they do that?
Everything they're saying is that she may have done it, and maybe she was aware, maybe she wasn't aware.
My theory...
They're charging her with second freaking degree.
Here's my theory. I think they want a hung jury. I think they want to get out of this thing without a conviction. I really do. I think that they know...
Because they know who did it, and they want to make sure that the scrutiny.
I think this is a cover-up all the way up to the DA. Mm-hmm. I don't know that every single person involved is in on the cover-up, but those who need to be are. Because why would you charge murder too on this? You're going to lose that. You've got nothing. Weird. You didn't have it coming in.
They're not even trying to prove that.
They didn't even have a medical examiner saying that this person died from any kind of malice whatsoever, let alone
well, the medical examiner wouldn't be the person.
That's not true. They would be able to. What do you mean? They rule death's homicide, and they also the medical examiner couldn't say. In fact, could say with certainty that the body was not struck by a car.
I know. Come on.
Was not struck by a car. And that's the DA's witness, and they're bringing murder 2 on that, with that. Like, when you're talking murder 2, murder 1, you're going to bring the fucking medical examiner. You got a body. Like, it's the one thing that everybody says you fucking need, right? When you watch crime stories all day long, what do they say they need when it's not there? The body. They need the fucking body. The body tells everything.
Yep.
Well, why isn't that the case here? It has to be. If the body's fucking true for every other murder, why isn't it true for this one? And with the body, we have a medical examiner who cannot corroborate the DA's theory about what happened.
This is why
to convict this woman and put her away for the rest of her life.
They've been doing all these shenanigans with like the prosecution's been changing the timeline in order to fit John O'Keefe's last usage of the phone with Karen Read's car movements. Like, they're trying to make those line up perfectly.
Yeah.
But it's just not compelling to me.
To the extent that they're literally creating putting in new evidence, they're changing their story, adding new witnesses. Like, they're doing everything they can to create, because it's a new fucking jury, so they think they're going to get away with this idea that they can create and recreate a new construction. Of course, the defense is going to be all over it.
The jury knows that they introduced a new timeline in the middle of the trial.
Yeah,
like, it should have been a mistrial right then. But my point is that
before you continue, yes, Guilty Angel, we're getting all of our updates in for sure. Go ahead.
The reason why I'm not compelled by any of that evidence is because it doesn't seem beyond the realm of possibility that she dropped John off. She's the last person to see him alive.
Yes.
Allegedly. Was Karen Read when she saw him walk into that house and begin to open the door for that house, in that house.
Very strong.
They never investigated that house. I haven't seen any evidence that excludes the people in that house for being responsible. There's just been nothing done about that house. We're all just supposed to pretend it doesn't exist.
Right.
And it just doesn't seem beyond the realm of possibility that at the same time that Karen Read gets pissed at John for not responding to her texts, that she turns around and drives home at the same time that he is losing his life potentially, inside that house.
Right.
Like, I don't care if the timelines match up, because it could have happened at the same time and she could have nothing to do with it. Another thing too is that they're focusing a lot on this like forensic data analysis, where they're talking about the last time his phone was used, and they're talking about the last time Karen Read was, everybody was texting each other, and they're analyzing all of that. But what they are very deliberately excluding, and I think it's very strange, maybe not deliberately, who knows, maybe they're just excluding it out of ignorance, but they mentioned in the trial that his phone registered that he had been walking up flights of stairs, that he had like a really
which they're trying to say was hills. There's saying
no hills.
There's no hills.
The jury went to the location. There's no hills.
There's no hills.
And so they've just completely dropped that. And nobody's analyzing that as hard as they're analyzing the last time he looked at his phone. It's just a little weird to me that nobody's trying to explain, what does that mean? What does that mean that he climbed flights of stairs? Because your phone is really hard to trick. Yeah. It can say like you exerted.
No, there was that guy who tried to trick it and it wouldn't work. He could not trick his iPhone.
I tried to run on a treadmill. I tried to do a stair stepper, and it was like, your phone couldn't be tricked.
The way it was like, it knew the difference between stairs. I just wanted to, Courtney and Maisie has a question that I'm not going to answer because we're in the middle of this, but I'm going to answer it right after. It's a great question about Leo back in the day, and I'll gladly answer it. So
you keep doing this as with us on YouTube.
You keep doing this. I'm so excited.
Coroner can only ID manner and cause of death, not intent. You said intent, and that's what I was objecting to.
Well, they can rule homicides, right? They can rule that the death was
homicide isn't intent. No, that's murder. Homicide, it could be like
no, they can't. Of course, they can't.
Vehicular homicide,
right?
Whatever.
Right. That's all I think. Did I say intent?
You said intent. Yeah.
I did. Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm just
gonna quit right now.
I'm stupid.
Okay, cool. So the next thing I have for you, Guilty Angel's asking, are we going to talk about the Diddy stuff or the Blake stuff? Yes. Should we move on? Do you think?
Is there any more?
No, it was just this guy. I mean, we'll hear more from this witness in the Karen Read trial tomorrow. I mean, I don't know.
Their star witness fell apart, and their star witness fell apart. This recreation video was a joke. I don't think any juror can look at that. I don't know how you expect this. Is what I mean.
It casts more doubt because they're like, oh, look, that is a good explanation for how he got that wound, but not the other one.
Right, and also it's not a good explanation. It doesn't show anything at speed. It doesn't give anything to alleviate doubt.
He also said very clearly,
in fact, creates doubt.
This reconstruction expert, he said, if I got struck on my right arm, the car would spin me around. Well, that's not what the brain expert said, where he said that wound was caused by falling straight back.
Right.
So you can't have both. If he's struck by a car on his right arm to get those injuries, right? And
Right.
that's unexplained. But
Right.
if that's the point of impact and it spins him around, you're not going to get that injury on the back of your head. You're going to get a bunch of different injuries, you know?
Nancy says maybe because they felt she was angry and drove the car at a high rate of speed out of anger. And then one letter danger, which I'm not sure what that means.
See,
but
they haven't made that case though. You know?
yeah, they haven't made that case.
I'm hearing that from you and other people, but not from the prosecutor. The jury's not hearing that.
No.
It's weird.
I'm rolling boogers again.
You caught yourself?
I just did it. I looked at it and I was like, Dale, you must stop.
Okay. In the
So so it looks like the defense is going to wrap tomorrow. I'm sorry, the prosecutor's going to wrap tomorrow.
okay.
And then the juicy stuff comes.
And then we get to see
Now we get to
what we really think happened.
which is what we get to see is the dismantling of doubt.
That's right.
No, the construction of doubt.
We don't know what we're talking about. Neither of us.
I ain't nothing but a stupid fool.
It's blind leading the blind here. Okay, so in the Diddy trial.
Yes, in the Diddy trial. Well, let me answer this question. I've been genuinely wondering back in the 90s, did Leonardo DiCaprio act like he did in Don's Plum, or was he nice to girls? I've always wondered. Well, in my book called To Real a Hollywood Memoir, which you can pick up at my website for 50% off or 20% off the paperback, 50% off the ebook. In my book, I go into some areas where Courtney and Maisie, where Leo is not very nice. But I will tell you that up until we fell out, I loved Leo and thought that he was a good dude. And he was never flawless. It was part of what I actually did like about him was that he wasn't flawless and he wasn't even trying to be flawless. So it wasn't until he started to show like malice toward the end of our relationship, which really started right around Christmas 1995, and then went through that to the summer of 1996 when our relationship really ended.
It seems like he's really nice to his friends, but he has a mean streak for whoever he decides.
What I've noticed about Leonardo DiCaprio is that he's accepting of everything and anything. It doesn't matter what color you are, your sex, your sexual orientation, anything. He is open to everything until until he doesn't like you or until he decides that you're bad. Then he will use everything against you that you are. Like he called me a Canadian tree hugging piece of shit. And he said that because one of the things that I was most proud of in my life in 1995 and 1996 was that I was a part of many thousands of protesters who converged both at Clockwood Sound, a rainforest on Vancouver Island, and the Parliament, which is the provincial capital. The Parliament building is there in Victoria, in protest to try and save this forest. And we fought hard. I wasn't one of those who got arrested, but many did. It was just a really beautiful moment in my life, and I was very proud of it. And I spoke about it because we ended up winning, and the rainforest got a 100-year stay from any further logging, ordered by the government. And Leo, used that against me. So this is what Leo would do when Leo was like upset, when Leo was pissed off, when Leo was like, if he turned on you, he's going to turn on you with whatever you are. In Don's Plum, he gets mad at Toby. It's like one of the people are like, oh, is it real? Is it real? There were real moments. And this was one of them. He looked over, they were playing the fuck you game. I invented this game called the fuck you game when we were all hanging out one night. It's documented in the book. But we were playing it for the movie, and Leo looks over at Toby, goes, fuck you for being a poor guy. And then Toby gets this, you're going to come after me, who wears the same fucking shirt every day. So Toby had an inferiority complex to Leo and to everybody in Hollywood that Leo, because he was Leo's best buddy. So Leo dragged him around to these big affairs where Toby was, wildly underdressed, we'll say. Yeah.
Well, yeah. In his deposition, he also talks about feeling inferior and with regards to his wealth too. Like he didn't have any and everybody else did.
Precisely. So Leo used that against him, and this is what Leo would do. So it's just that so Leo was great and also extremely capable of being horrible. And he would be horrible if the time, you know, if he decided it was time to be, which is precisely why why how he was able to ruin my life without conscience, because he has no conscience for any of it.
Speaking of being horrible and having no conscience,
Yeah.
I have updates from the Diddy trial today.
We got Diddy updates.
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you got?
So his personal assistant was on the stand.
I heard he bashed Cassie. Is that true?
What? Who?
Somebody bashed Cassie today. But go ahead, tell your story.
Well, the assistant was testifying to having been kidnapped by him.
By Diddy.
Yes, in that event where I told you about Kid Cudi said that Diddy broke into his house.
Yes.
And told him to meet him there.
Yeah,
and then when he was there,
he wasn't there.
Then he found all his presents unwrapped, and his dog was put away and scared.
Weirdest fucking.
Yeah, so weird.
Oh my! I would be so intimidated by that.
Well, so the prosecution put on his personal assistant that drove him there that day, and her story. This is Capricorn Clark is her name. Very cool name.
Yes, Capricorn Clark is the one that bashed Cassie. Yeah.
Or was she just saying what Diddy was saying?
Oh well. The headline I saw, I can only speak to the headline I saw. I didn't read it.
Yeah, well, it's not, the trial isn't filmed or, recorded, so we don't know exactly what they're saying, just what's being reported.
Yeah.
But she said that Diddy told her, like, come with me, we're going to go kill Kid Cudi. And that's what he told Capricorn Clark he was going to Kid Cudi's house to do. And so she was really scared. And that's why she called him and was like, hey, Diddy's like kidnapped me and brought me over here. He's in your house.
So she was trying to warn him.
Yes. Horrible. And so there you go. He said that he intended to kill him. And then he blew up his car.
He blew up his fucking car, which by the way, their response to that is like there's no proof. And I don't know that there is. Claire's saying for all of Leo's flaws, it sounds like he was just mad in that moment. Well, it's 2020 fucking 5. So let's talk about the moment.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Right.
Let's talk about 2014 when I published my open letter and he had the opportunity to put this to bed and get this out of the way. It's not as easy as that, is it? Like that's the problem with this whole fucking thing with Leo, is that Leo and people are like the thing about being fans. Like here's the thing. I love Smokey Robinson. He's a fucking grapist for
You still love him?
No.
No.
Do I love his music still? Yeah, I do. Like if you put it on, I'm gonna get sent back to a time when Smokey Robinson wasn't a creep. But he is a creep now. Do you see what I'm saying? Like Leo, he does creepy shit. But nobody wants to hold him fucking accountable for it. They want to say things like, and I'm not picking on you, Claire, but just think about it for a minute. He literally destroyed my life. This isn't just him getting mad, having a fucking moment. He took everything that ever meant anything to me away from me.
No, it was literally like a 2-year-long campaign where he
he woke up
in the morning and he was like, how can I fuck up Dale Wheatley?
Absolutely. Absolutely. He literally woke up with the objective to destroy my friendships, to destroy my opportunities, and to erase me from Hollywood. That was his objective. And there's literally absolutely nothing that's remotely good about that. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, maybe he did get mad in the moment, but what he didn't find was the wherewithal, was the wherewithal to pay the respect to himself and his friendships the way we all should, and actually look into the problem, spend time with the problem, especially when
and he didn't even investigate. That's the craziest part.
Especially when, yeah, exactly. So especially when like what you want to do, as in response to it, is destroy. Like if your objective is to end me, then be sure about what the fuck you're doing it for, right? Like if you're going to destroy someone's entire life, don't you want to be sure about it? Don't you want to be sure that you're going to destroy somebody's life for good reason? See what I'm saying? And this is where he's a very big problem to the people around him. And it's also why people are afraid of him, because he can be so irrational, because that's irrational. There's nothing sane about that. I have never been so mad at a person that I would destroy everything about them. That I would intentionally go out and try to take from them the relationships that matter to them, their career, their work. I would never do that. It wouldn't even occur to me. There would be no thought process.
Especially if you had no solid evidence for the thing you're mad at them for.
If I did,
Yeah, but
I
he didn't
did.
even look for that. He got told a rumor basically and was like, you know what? That's it. I'm gonna burn this guy to the ground.
And he like, it wasn't even like,
So
it wasn't
nuts.
even like he was like, oh, fuck this guy. I'm gonna like, fuck you, and then walk away from me. Because look, being a friend of Leonardo DiCaprio's was a privilege. You know, it really was. I mean,
he could have withdrawn that.
so many fucking doors opened as a result of it. You know, everyone knew I was his friend. Everyone knew he was my friend. I went places and people would be like treating me with a certain amount of respect just because they knew that Leo was my friend. So just ending our friendship would have been devastating on a social level. You know what I mean? Because there would already be like they're not talking anymore problem for me to deal with. But that he went intentionally out of his way to destroy my life. Well, that's when it gets bad. That's when, you know, things are fucking out of control. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I get really passionate about it, Claire. So if you see me getting like all Tobey Maguire with the fucking, you know, veins in my neck and shit like that, just know that it's just because they really did ruin my life. And I have, by the way, and I'm not afraid to admit this kind of stuff because I hang out with you guys every damn day. And I've had a really rough weekend. With my past, wrestling with my past. It's been a bear, man. Just feeling lots of regret around it. Like, not regret, feeling lots of like, just feeling sorry for myself, I guess. Really? Just feeling like I missed out on so fucking much, you know? Like, this is what happens. It comes in these waves where you just wake up and you're like, I could have been on movie 10 by now. I could be on movie 5, movie 4. I could have won an Oscar. I could have won a Spirit Award. I could have had a $100 million box office hit. I could have failed after my second film. I could have done anything. Maybe I acted again. Maybe it just started, and then the ruminating happens, and goddamn. And it's been like that for a whole weekend.
You got displaced.
Claire said so. He probably trusted Toby. Yeah, he did. He clearly trusted Toby for sure. Anyway. Smokey's innocent until proven guilty. You know, dude, while that is technically, I don't believe that he's being charged with anything criminally. So right now, this is actually just a court of public opinion. He's being sued, I think. And there is no presumption of innocence in civil litigation whatsoever. I'm siding with the ladies on this one.
It was 4.
Yeah, four women coming forward, and the things that they accuse him of. I mean, I'm not going to play games with that. I ain't going to play games with that. You know, that dude's toast, bro.
We figured this out in 2017 with the Me Too movement too. It's like believing women doesn't mean that you believe them the whole way. It just means that you start out believing them so that you can take a closer look at the evidence. But if you start out by not believing,
you start believing them so you don't miss.
That's right.
Perpetrators. You can't.
If you start out too skeptical to take a look, then then guilty people are going to continue to.
You're going to walk, and it's not about. And you know, I don't mean to correct you, but in terms of my experience with it, it's not as much as I just automatically believe them. It's that I don't automatically disbelieve them.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah,
that's all that anybody's ever asking for.
Yeah.
It's just like judge my case like it should exist, right?
Now,
like let me make my claim and be judged just like I'm entitled to in the court.
I don't believe that there is a lot of like I don't believe in a reasonable percentage shot that a bunch of girls are going to come together, corroborate a story so that they go after a celebrity for their own benefit and telling lies that would destroy his reputation, his relationships with his, family potentially and his community. So that's the first thing I don't believe. The first thing I don't believe is that people are doing this for malice, for their own personal gain.
These are also people that worked very closely with him. And so you have to wonder if it's just like, why, if you get to know somebody very closely, you work in their own home, like for them to be falsely accusing him. Wouldn't that be so strange to be like, to have that close proximity to them and then decide that you want to join in with these other co-conspirators to ruin their life?
Yeah.
With false accusations.
Yeah. Fucked up. It's just a fucking weird thing to do.
Claire
Claire says that, but I do truly believe that Leo did it because he truly believed that you were out to destroy him in the press. And I gotta tell you, man, it's the stupidest
There's
thing.
no way he believes that, right?
It's
You
so
have no
stupid. It's just
access.
like literally
He
like
was signed at CAA, and he told you in the argument that they run everything. They
don't-
control everything.
he knows I don't have
what was
any.
he afraid
He knows I don't have any fucking connections to press.
Yeah.
He didn't even like do any due diligence about that. Like, let's pretend, Claire, that you think that what you're thinking has any merit whatsoever. Why wouldn't he then like do some work about it? Like, why wouldn't he do some work? Because there should be like, well, who did I, me, Dale Wheatley? I'm not talking about anybody else. Who did I, Dale Wheatley, speak to in the press? Who do I even know? Like, here's the thing that he knew, that everyone there knew, because I was an immigrant out of status. I didn't have, like in Canada, you know, being a Canadian, I didn't cross the border illegally. It's basically nearly impossible to do. I was invited into the country, but I didn't leave. And that took my status out of favor. So I didn't even, like, I didn't know anybody. The only people I knew were them. And they knew that. Like, they knew what I did. I was broke. I never went anywhere. They were my only friends. The idea that I could pit the press against anybody is laughably stupid. Like, it's laughably stupid. And like, I guess we could pretend, if we want, we could pretend that Leo's that stupid to believe that some immigrant from Canada who's been in town for a year, I was in town for a year.
Can somehow take him down. He's already been
Sorry,
nominated.
2 years.
He's working with all the biggest names.
Yeah, I'm working. In 2 years, I can take down Leonardo DiCaprio, Oscar nominated, and I haven't even had my first fucking job. I haven't even got my first job yet, and I'm going to take Leonardo DiCaprio down. Can we use our brains collectively or individually long enough
if he's
to
that-
just look at the
if
fucking
he's that
reality?
Stupid enough.
I'm not
to-
saying you didn't do that, by the way. I'm giving you information.
If he's stupid enough to buy that, why does he get a pass for that? Okay, so he was stupid and he ruined your life. Like, you don't get a pass for doing that.
What do you mean?
If you're like, oh, he ruined my life because he thought that I was an evildoer, even though it didn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
he really believed that.
Yeah.
He doesn't get a pass for that because that's awful, right? There are other ways to settle.
Yes, there are other
differences.
remedies.
And then, but alternatively, say he doesn't, that there's no way that he could have believed that, right? And that he was totally stupid. That he doesn't. He's just angry for no reason.
Right.
He doesn't get a pass for that either.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no scenario in which he's made the right choice. If he does believe you,
None.
because he's stupid, or he doesn't believe you and he just wants to be vindictive. He wants to be a vindictive asshole. Like, there's just no way that he gets a pass for everything he's done. I don't know. Whatever. That was a word salad.
Well,
Hey, do you want to move on in our last 10 minutes to update people on the Blake Lively situation?
yeah, Claire, yeah, let me just finish up. So, I just don't think he would do it needless. I just don't think he would do it to be a needlessly evil, like a cartoon character. What he did is nothing short of evil. He literally destroyed my life. He literally stole from me all my money, all my ability to make money. He took my friends. I don't speak to my family over this. My brother won't associate with me because I wrote a book about it. My brother, because he's a comic book artist and he thinks that he's somehow going to be affected by this. You know, what he did is evil.
You think that DiCaprio signed an agreement, right, to let your film get distributed all across the world, except for the US and Canada. But then you heard that he was then poaching those deals elsewhere?
Yes.
After he signed an agreement.
Yes.
So then he
right after
immediately broke his agreement.
Two things
and then
happened right after.
To interfere.
The first thing that happened was the National Enquirer put out like a 10-minute hit piece on Dawn's Plum.
Oh,
I have
so
it.
absurd.
I have it.
None of it could possibly be true.
None of it's
They're
true.
making allegations
Literally,
that are
there's a
false.
person in there just lying her face off, talking about how horrible the movie is and how it is an
went
embarrassment.
To screenings that never existed.
Yeah, she's talking about screenings that didn't exist, with reactions that never happened. I was at every single fucking screening except
and
one.
Then the second thing.
And then the second thing, first thing was...
You said he did two things right after signing the settlement agreement.
Right. And then he stopped the Italy deal. Like, I know we stopped the Italy deal. I had a $750,000 deal. Well, we had a $750,000 deal verbally in place with an Italian distributor who was also distributing Gangs of New York. And the distributor visited Leo on the set in Italy and said, Leo, my favorite actor of all time, I paraphrase, and this is for entertainment purposes only. I just bought your other movie, Don's Plum. I'm in the Leo business. And Leo told him that he had to get rid of the movie, and that if he didn't, he would be doing not only no business with them on the Scorsese movie, but no business going forward on Leonardo DiCaprio movies. And so we lost $750,000 in Italy. And the movie, Don's Plum, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, right after Titanic, was never distributed.
So what kind of professional conduct is that, where he wins his lawsuit,
Mhm.
right? He
Mhm.
wins his lawsuit and then continues to screw up his own agreements with you and continue to block your movie elsewhere. Sorry, it's late. I've been talking to
You all right?
I want to spend the last 10 minutes. I want to spend the last 5-6 minutes of this live talking to you about this news out of the Blake Lively situation.
Okay.
You keep wanting to talk about
Last thing I'm going to laugh at, because Cosmic Urgency put out a really funny statement. He said, I think you should make an indie horror flick starring Scott Bloom, Amber Benson, and Rilo Kiley. Might as well throw in Steely Dan and Jethro Tull while we're at it.
That's not a bad idea.
It's hilarious. It'd be great. Jenny Lewis,
Just do it.
Blake Sennett, Amber Benson, Scott Bloom. I think I would make a killer indie horror movie. I know what I would do immediately.
I'm going to leave.
Continue. The threats.
Okay. Nothing much happened over the weekend. Right?
Okay, great.
But Blake Lively's motion to dismiss had some support today.
From
They asked for permission to file an amicus brief. An amicus brief, I had to look this up. I didn't know what this is. But it's it's Latin for a friend of the court, and it's a legal document that's filed by individuals or organizations who are not directly involved in a case, but they have a strong interest in the outcome.
Oh.
And so this amicus brief, they asked for permission to, so it hasn't been filed yet, or maybe it's been filed since, but
So they're asking permission for the
It's
court
in
to include this as a
yeah, in support
to be
of-
heard by the court.
Yeah,
basically.
in support of Blake Lively's motion to dismiss against Justin Baldoni's lawsuits. It was the people who filed it were Equal Rights Advocates, California Employment Lawyers Association, and the California Women's Law Center. They contributed to the brief. They're arguing that defamation lawsuits against survivors speaking out against sexual assault and sexual harassment is a tactic used to retaliate against and silence survivors.
And that there are laws in California that recent laws
Yes.
that actually came into play after this event, I think.
This is I'm reading from a thread that was wonderfully put together by the Twitter account Leave Heard Alone. This is a Amber Heard fan page.
Mm-hmm.
They argue that defamation lawsuits against survivors speaking out against sexual harassment is a tactic used to retaliate against and silence survivors, which is what Blake Lively is alleging in her motion to dismiss. They specifically cite the role of Darvo in retaliatory lawsuits, that abusers will utilize defamation lawsuits to flip who the offender and victim are, and they use them to attack the credibility of the victim. They speak about how lawmakers, these people who are filing this amicus brief, they speak about how lawmakers have already taken steps to protect survivors and minimize the access that abusers have to filing retaliatory lawsuits. And so they claim that denying Blake Lively's motion to dismiss would invalidate and ignore the laws meant to protect survivors from retaliation and also do further harm to future survivors afraid to come forward. Their whole thing is like, this is, Blake Lively was saying that he can't file a defamation lawsuit when I am complaining about sexual harassment and possible sexual assault on set because she already filed a complaint in California, and California lawmakers just recently, just a few years ago, have passed a law forbidding defamation lawsuits after that sort of allegation because it's too often used as a retaliatory tactic. Sorry.
That's kind of amazing.
And so what these people are saying is these lawyers for these various organizations in California are like, we put forward a law, the lawmakers signed it into law, and if this federal court sees this case and continues, it's a potentially putting together precedent that other abusers in the future are going to be able to use in order to skirt this law that lawmakers have decided we should have in California.
Right.
So they're like, it's just not.
It's really compelling. We'll see what happens because they wanted
proper.
California law.
Yeah.
Well, here it is.
it's a big deal to get something like that signed into
Schumann,
law.
I had fantasies about this with Don's Plum, that people who were like, I mean, my freedoms have been in completely,
Yeah.
you know, like, I mean, I was like, why hasn't anyone come to my rescue? Like these guys have literally stopped an American movie from being released that contained the work of dozens of artists.
Yeah, well,
why the fuck didn't anyone come to help us?
I know, it's crazy.
It's insane. Like we had no help at all, while this fucking little fucking tyrant was like literally, you know, going against both capitalism and fucking the Constitution all at once. Cosmic Urgency said that they weren't your friends, Dale. And they were my friends. If they weren't my friends, then nobody ever was. And maybe nobody ever was. Maybe nobody ever was. Maybe I, and maybe you, maybe we all don't know what friends really are, or what they were. Maybe friends, or the idea of friendship, is some kind of an ideal and not an actual tangible real thing. It's just an ideal. And we can believe in our ideals, and we can go through life feeling like friendship is a thing. But maybe friendship is just whatever you think it is. And maybe it isn't actually anything in particular. So maybe your definition of friendship can't really define my relationship with anybody. Because I've had friends 20 years walk away after all this.
Because if you feel betrayed, isn't that enough to call it a betrayal?
Right.
Right? Like, does it have to be like proven, like that they weren't actually your friends? Well, okay, then they were tricking you into thinking that you were friends the whole time. And then you were also betrayed that way too.
But there was also there was no reason for them not to be my friend. Like there was no reason for me to be in his house eating food with him and his mother.
So if they weren't friends, were they just manipulating you, and that makes it better?
Right. None of that makes sense. So as far as friendship goes, and the ideal of friendship goes, I met whatever they thought, whatever criteria they had for a friend. Now, in terms of like where on the ladder, what rung my friendship was on was compared to, say, Toby's, well, that's up for debate. But friendships is just such an interesting thing that you bring up, Cosmic, because it's like, we don't know really what friendship is anymore. I don't even understand the concept of friends. Relationships in general are such a complicated idea, because I thought that there was, I always thought friendships are, friendships are, or is, the idea of a friendship is a certain thing. It requires a certain amount of love, devotion, and that's just not true. Friendships are just totally subjective. What a friendship is, what it means, who it belongs to, all of this is just subjective, and based on ideals, and not based on, any kind of idea that any one of us has.
What are you clicking around at?
And that comes from experience. I'm getting set up for Ginsburg because I promised everybody Ginsburg when we leave, and I really highly recommend that you listen to this poem for 8 minutes before you leave. Because I think you will be entertained by it. I want you to be, because this man, he's fabulous, and I'm gonna take my mic off, but and wander around a little while I listen to it with you.
You're just gonna pace behind your desk.
I will, because
people will get the real Wheatley experience that I get.
The first time I heard this poem,
he just paces all the time.
The first time I heard this poem was back in the 90s. I can't remember when he wrote it. I think it was in the 70s, or I think it was in the 70s, maybe even before that. Anyway, I think you'll enjoy it.
So are we signing off, and then you're going to put on some a Ginsburg lullaby for them? Is that
kind of like that. Let me answer some of this stuff here. So Claire says, it was definitely evil, but I think he did it because he thought you guys were evil. Yeah, I guess. I mean, he clearly didn't do it because he thought we were good,
This is fun.
I can't explain why Leo did the things he did. I can't explain why
he needs to explain himself.
He would react at the level he did. It's just impossible to understand why anybody would treat any other human being that way. There were a million different remedies, and there's no reason for him to think that we were evil. Like, we literally did nothing evil. Like, there was no, he was there when he was told by me that the thing that happened, which was Jerry Metters saying that at least Leo knows we had a voice in the press, which was just an underhanded statement, in the same way that you would say, how somebody would be like, you do that one more time and I'm going to kill you. They're not threatening murder. They're just bullshitting. And that's what Jerry Metters was doing in the situation. and everyone knows that because Jerry Matters also isn't going to pit the press against anybody. It's a stupid thing to say.
It's also the star of your movie. Why would you go on the attack?
But even beyond that,
I mean, well, Justin Baldoni did that, so
I guess. But even beyond that, like if you could imagine that there was a reason for us to do that, which is obviously stupid. Nobody was capable of it. Nobody wanted to do it. It was just absolutely nonsense. And all it would have taken would have been like to be rational about it for 10 fucking minutes. That's all it would have taken him to sit back and relax, have a few conversations. Literally, his agent Adam Bennett that morning after Adam heard got on the phone with Leo and was just like, "Hey, well, let's just take it easy. It'll be all right."
Like, this isn't important.
Literally, everyone around Leo was like, "Oh, it'll be fine. This is going to blow over. This is going to blow over because there's no reason for this not to blow over."
Yeah, you keep doing this. Said that Toby manipulated him.
Of course,
I think
Toby
that's
did.
the only explanation.
He most certainly fucking did. Yeah, that prick.
So, how's this going to go? We're going to sign off.
All right, so guys, I hope you'll stick around. Before we go, a couple of things. Well, no, I don't really have any. Do you have anything else? I had a couple of things, but then
I'm going to bring everybody all the.
Oh my God, we have 10 consecutive viewers. I've been waiting for double digits. I look at all these, like I'm on these YouTube channels.
Confetti.
I'm on these YouTube channels.
Confetti drops.
Yeah.
We got the banner.
Oh, that's what I want to say. So YouTube and versus TikTok. So I got a studio license on TikTok the other day. They're making me jump through hoops. So here's what I'm going to do. Hoops. Anybody who's interested in anything to do with writing, I'm going to be doing lives this week during the afternoon.
Ooh, fun.
I don't know how many I'm going to do, but I'm going to come on and I'm going to read from Too Real, a Hollywood memoir. And then I'm also going to make myself available to talk about writing. I have to hit these certain qualifications in order to get the live suite to do what I want it to do, so I can tap both in through this one OBS. So this broadcasting software that everybody uses.
Gotcha.
Online broadcasting software. So anyway.
Are you telling everybody how the sausage is made?
So I'm not, but it's with intestines. So anyway, so YouTube and TikTok are going to have ostensibly the same thing, although the YouTube experience is going to be quite different in that it's going to have a totally different layout and, whatever. But YouTube and TikTok will have the same thing. YouTube's going to be, I'm going to improve YouTube like greatly. You would not even believe all the under the hood stuff I'm doing right now, but that's neither here nor there. You guys don't give a shit about that. You just want to come for the stuff. I'm trying to make the stuff. But YouTube soon is going to have TikTok is going to be able to see you, which I think is such a wonderful thing for people to be able to do because you talk a lot, you have a lot to say, and you're really pleasant to look at.
I have a lot to say.
And you're pleasant to look at. So having somebody pleasant to look at while you're talking is always good. That's going to happen. And then also we're going to be able to, on the YouTube stuff, like I'm going to play this Ginsburg stuff. I'm just going to knock YouTube. You're going to hear it on my phone, but it's not going to be as easy. So just so you know, Angela, I'm going to leave it on. So when I don't go live, when I say we killed it,
burp real loudly.
Or like say something like really crude, like don't kick a dog.
I won't kick a dog.
She's never kicked a dog.
I can guarantee you I won't kick a dog.
She's never kicked a dog in her life, unless you count me. I'm a bit of a dog. All right, guys, I'm going to switch this over to my transition. Look at my fancy transition.
Good night, everybody, I guess.
And I am
tomorrow.
Yep. Say good night, Angela, because I'm going to shut off your mic right now. Oh, wait. Maybe I need to do that before my transition. Hang on. Two at this top. Two at this top. Sorry, guys. Okay. You guys are amazing. I'm so glad you guys were able to spend your time with us. I hope you'll come back tomorrow. And I am now about to play Mr. Ginsburg's poem called America. I hope you enjoy it.
America, I've given you all, and now I'm nothing. America, $2.27, January 17th, 1956. America, I can't stand my own mind. America, when will we end the human war? Go fuck yourself with your atom bomb. I don't feel good, don't bother me. I won't write my poem till I'm in my right mind. When will you be angelic? When will you take off your clothes? When will you look at yourself through the grave? When will you be worthy of your million Christs? America, why are your libraries full of tears? America, when will you send your eggs to India? I'm sick of your insane demands. When will you reinvent the heart? When will you manufacture lambs? When will your cowboys read Spangler? When will your dams release the flood of eastern tears? When will your technicians get drunk and abolish money? When will you institute religions of perception in your legislatures? When can I go into the supermarket and buy what I need with my good looks? America, after all, it is you and I who are perfect, not the next world. Your machinery is too much for me. I don't want to work for a living. You made me want to be a saint. There must be some other way to settle this argument. I don't want to die young. I want to die old and unhappy. I don't mind dying so long as it's not sordid. Now, Burroughs is in Tangiers. I don't think he'll come back and is sinister. Are you being sinister, or is this some form of playing a practical joke? I'm trying to come to the point. I refuse to give up my obsession. America, stop pushing. I know what I'm doing. America, the plum blossoms are falling. America, I haven't read the newspapers for months. Every day somebody goes on trial for murder. America, I feel sentimental about the Wobblies. America, I used to be a communist when I was a kid. I'm not sorry. I smoke marijuana every chance I get. Only $2.27. I don't want to work. Maybe it's looking for the job. I can't study anymore. I'll never teach for a living. I sit in my house for days on end without going out. When I go to Chinatown, I get drunk and never get laid. My mind is made up. There's going to be trouble. You should have seen me reading Marx. The American flag is absolutely meaningless to me still, just as it was in the 30s. I won't say the Lord's Prayer. I have mystical visions and cosmic vibrations. America, I still haven't told you what you did to Uncle Max after he came over from Russia. I'm addressing you. Are you going to let your emotional life be run by Time magazine? I'm obsessed by Time magazine. I read it every week. Its cover stares at me every time I pass the corner of northwest of Sutter Street and Montgomery Street. I read it in the basement of the Berkeley Public Library. Time magazine is always telling me about responsibility. Businessmen are serious. Movie producers are serious. Everybody's serious but me. It occurs to me that I am America. I am talking to myself again. Asia is rising against me. I haven't got a Chinaman's chance. I had better consider over my natural resources. My natural resources consist of 2 sticks of marijuana, millions of genitals, an atom bomb, and 2,500 mental institutions. I say nothing about my prisons or the millions of underprivileged who live in my flower pot. I have very few bordellos, and that's all there is. I have abolished my whorehouses in France, and Tangiers is the next to go. My ambition is to be president despite the fact that I'm a Catholic. America, how can I write a holy litany in your silly mood? I will continue like Henry Ford. My strophes are as individual as his automobiles. More so, they're all different sexes. America, I will sell you strophes at $2,500 apiece. 500 down on your old strophe is trade-in, and the rest of your life is to pay. America free, Tom Mooney. America save the Spanish loyalists. America Sacco and Vanzetti must not die. I am the Scottsboro boys.
You are!
America, when I was 7, my mother took me to a communist cell meeting. They sold us bupkis, a handful per ticket. A ticket cost a nickel, and the speeches were free. Everybody was angelic and sentimental about the workers. It was all so sincere, you have no idea what a good thing the party was in 1835. Scott Nearing was a grand old man, a real mensch. Mother Bloor made me cry. I once saw a Browder plane. Everybody must have been a spy. America, you don't really want to go to war. America, it's them bad Russians. Them Russians, and them Chinamen. And them Russians. The Russians are power mad. The Russia wants to eat us alive. She wants to take our cars from out our garages. Her wants to take our factories. Her wants to corrupt our college girls. Her wants to put us all in slave labor camps. Her wants to emaciate us like skeletons. Her wants Malenko or Buchanan or somebody to be our boss. Her wants to dictify us. Him big bureaucracy running our filling stations. That's no good. Look, he'll make Indians learn read. Ha! Him need niggers. Ho! Her make us all work 16 hours a day. Help! America, this is quite serious. America, this is the impression I get from reading the newspaper. America, is this correct? I'd better get right down to the job. It's true, I don't want to join the army or turn lathes and precision parts factories. I'm nearsighted and psychopathic anyway. America, I am putting my queer shoulder to the wheel.